Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We are here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Keeney and I'm joined by my two pals, Krusty and Fisher.
Hi guys.
Hello everyone. That's a bit of a statement.
My two colleagues.
Nice to be back to full strength this week. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, full house this week.
Back to the Three Musketeers.
The running bum. And I can't remember our nicknames.
We haven't used that in a long
Crown
time. We've dropped that gimmick.
I'd actually forgot that. The Podfather.
Yeah.
The Crown Jewel.
Yep.
There we go.
We're all here.
The thing is, if you hadn't have carried that on, that would have just been really odd that you just said that out of nowhere.
I know. So we're going to run through our usuals this week. We've got a small news segment at the start. Then we'll run through SmackDown, Raw, NXT, AEW, and that's it really. So Krusty, I know you want to break the news this week.
So you say a small news segment, but to us this is absolutely huge. So WWE have confirmed the rumors that we've been hearing about of a PLE, so a premium live event in the UK in a stadium. So we quite often get them a couple of times a year at sort of 15,000 capacity venues.
We've actually got one in like 2 weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, we're off on the at the end of April
28th,
to London. Yeah. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for that. But this is big. So they've confirmed they've booked the Principality Stadium. I think I said that correctly in
Principality.
Wales. Principality. There we go. Used to be called the Millennium Stadium. That was a lot easier for me to say. That has a capacity of 88,000. So this could be a mania size event. I think they're really going to go all out. And the thing that's exciting but also making me a bit nervous, is the fact that WWE released a pre-registration for ticket sales. And I thought, oh, cool, you might get, 5,000 people interested. 59,000 people pre-registered for tickets. This broke all records for WWE throughout all history, including WrestleMania. They've never ever had this many pre-registrations, which shows how much this means. I mean, it's been 30 years since they had the last pay-per-view scale event.
Yeah, well, they had a pay-per-view about 20 years ago, but it was in like a 15,000.
Not a big boy like this, is it?
SummerSlam,
so the last one was SummerSlam, wasn't it?
Yeah. So British Bulldog won a big match there, didn't he, and stuff like that. That's how long ago it was.
Well, we were very young then. We were too young to watch it.
Yeah, of course. I was two when it happened.
Yeah. So really exciting news, amazing for the UK, and I can't wait and hope we get tickets to go see that. If anyone has the plug who's listening and can help us out, we'll do some special guesting or something if you can get us in.
Just can't wait for it. I mean, I think there's two things I think we said we'd kind of break the bank for. And one was a pay-per-view and the other one's an AEW show if they come over to the UK at any point. So yeah, we're absolutely buzzing. And I think it's September the 3rd, is that right? When the show's actually going to be. I don't think the pay-per-view's been named yet, has it?
No, they haven't even confirmed it's a pay-per-view, but looking at the dates of the pay-per-views around it must be.
You're not going to have Monday Night Raw in
no
in the stadium,
but it could be like when they do the shows at Madison Square Garden kind of thing. But I don't think it will. I think it's
got to be big. It's got to be.
SummerSlam is at the end of July, like the 30th of July or something like that, and then Survivor Series is November, the start of November. So this makes sense. It's in the middle. Yeah, I've heard rumors of maybe Extreme Rules or something like that because that's not been announced as a pay-per-view yet.
Wouldn't surprise me if they give us a new event. So like we have Crown Jewel.
I think they did that one in Australia, didn't they?
Yeah, Super Showdown.
Super Showdown. It might be something like that, where they just do let's say just come up with a name for it. It'd be amazing.
Some like British kind of name.
The tea and scone or something like that.
They'll come up with some The
thing is, Crown Jewel would have actually been a really good name.
Yeah, it would have
for a UK pay-per-view, but they can't really use that. I think it's going to be amazing either way. I believe this may make AEW hold off till early next year. unless they come in and undercut them and be like, right, we're going to come in July.
I don't think it will happen yet. I think maybe next year for AEW. Yeah.
But also AEW have a stadium they can use.
They do, but why
Craven
would
Cottage.
you host an event at an outdoor venue to use Craven Cottage?
Tony Khan has mentioned it quite a few times, though.
Also, Craven Cottage
Which
is
makes me
small,
think he
isn't
wants
it?
to.
Craven
What's
Cottage
going to
is
do?
like
Put a massive
20,000.
gazebo over it or something? I mean,
Yeah.
you were asking for trouble, aren't you? Hosting an outdoor event in the UK,
Yeah.
which requires to be dry.
Yeah.
If we go to that show, we are.
You can't have Titus O'Neill's slipping happening.
Everyone would be slipping, wouldn't they?
You can't be having that every 2 seconds.
Dude, if we do go to that, and if they do host it at Fulham's grounds, we are sitting at the back, so we're undercover. I'm not. I'm not going outside in case it rains. I mean, the likelihood is it will. But yeah, fantastic news, and I can't wait. So we're starting with SmackDown. What do you reckon? How did you think this all started this week?
I mean, I'm going to jump to the end of SmackDown. I think the biggest talking point here was Roman basically ordering the Usos to unify the tag titles. And I think I actually mentioned this maybe the last time I was on, or maybe the Mania show, where I said I think I would like them to start unifying some belts. And I think the tag titles is a good one because I don't think the tag divisions are that big on both shows.
Yeah,
and I think
tag titles is one I don't mind them doing.
Yeah, and I think we've actually seen a few Usos v RK Bro matches anyway, haven't we? I think we had that on Raw a couple of before Mania, so we've seen these teams fight, and it's going to be a great match. So I think it's the right thing to do. And yeah, I think it's interesting. It's interesting whether they then extend this to the women's as well down the line.
I don't think they will unless they introduce a women's mid-card belt, because I just think having one, I know they've got the tag titles, but that leaves literally one title for the women to fight for. I don't know the men's, that would, at least with the men's, you've got the US, the Intercontinental. And I personally, I still think they're going to end up having 2 world titles eventually. Yeah. I think Roman drops one.
I think this is a temporary thing. I do agree.
I think the tag titles could do.
But well, I don't mind the tag titles because they don't book enough tag teams strongly.
No,
I know.
Like tag teams.
I think as well. I think the only thing that worries me a bit is how they've booked the women's tag belts as a floating belt, because it's just, how often did you see? I guess you did see Zelina and Carmella on SmackDown a little bit, but I think they're historically they've actually struggled with these floating belts a bit. So hopefully there's a way to book it properly, and I don't necessarily have full faith that they will.
I think in the women's division, you're right. I think in the men's division, they've already been doing it. Usos have been all over the place, haven't they? I think it's whoever's the sort of star at the moment. I think we're really going to see a change now. Sasha and Naomi have the belts. I think they're going to be seen on both brands. It depends who has it, but everyone in the men's tag division are really popular,
you're right. I guess Sasha and Bailey were really good as floating champs. Yeah. They were on NXT as well.
It really does depend on who has the belts. We've seen it before with Kabuki Warriors were pretty but they were taken fairly seriously. Sasha and Bailey, even Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax were booked seriously for a while.
Yeah, fair.
I completely forgot they was a tag team.
To that point, who do you think should be the combined tag champs? RK Bro or Usos? Who do you think could be booked better?
It really depends where you want to go with the storyline of. I think it would be great to have the bloodline Drake.
The storyline makes sense of it being.
But RK Bro are so over.
I don't. Yeah, so for me, I think RK Bro would be the better option to go with, because I think they're just a bigger act than Usos.
Yeah.
So I agree. The bloodline storyline would be good, but it also works if the Usos let Roman down. That does work in a way as well. It
does, but it depends if now's the time they want to start the fall, because we're only in April still. We're a long way from SummerSlam for them to start really breaking apart, if that's the goal. And even I've predicted a few times that Roman could drop that belt at this UK pay-per-view to someone like Drew, which could be incredible, or a belt, because if he might end up with 2, we don't really know what's happening there, do we?
Yeah.
But I think I agree with you in the fact that RK Bro, as a real over team, probably would be really popular to be going between both brands.
Yeah, unless they plan on breaking RK Bro up, which I don't think they should yet.
Don't do it.
I would leave it. Honestly, I think they can get another year out of them.
Yeah, I was about to say I'd leave that till Mania next year.
Yeah,
And
I think they
Riddle v Orton next year. Yeah.
Royal Rumble, get them to break there.
Yeah, exactly.
Day one or Royal Rumble, start the split at day one, and then
They are way too popular as a team.
It is interesting though, because like you said, there aren't enough. It would give fresh tag matches as well, because say if RK Bro did win it, you could have them defend it against Los Lotharios, the Viking.
Well, also,
Raiders,
we've seen
on
on Raw, we've got Profit, South Academy, RK Bro, and then SmackDown has the Usos, and that's about. Well,
we also now have Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, which is a little bit of a segue. We had the to sort of give context to it. Marcel Bartel and Walter, who are now known as Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, are now on SmackDown. So you've got a tag team there, essentially. I know they probably want to use Gunther in the singles division, but you do have a tag team.
This is an interesting call-up. I still don't know why you wouldn't call up Eichner with them.
No, I don't. Because you could have had Bartel and Eichner as a great tag team.
And I'm intrigued whether they want them as a team or whether Bartel just doesn't wrestle and Bartel is just like an Aiden English style to Rusev. That's kind of
such a shame, because
I think it'd be more like Boogs and Nakamura, where he wrestles, but he also does the promos for him. But the star is the other guy. So Boogs isn't. Boogs has got over as a star.
Boogs is the star. Boogs and Nakamura is actually harmed Nakamura, I think.
Well, you say that, but I mean, we'll segue onto it in a minute. But Nakamura's going to be in the main event program on SmackDown.
That's luck, though. The fact that Boogs got injured,
and there's no one else on SmackDown.
Yeah,
that's completely. Don't want to go too through yet.
I don't know if that was the plan. Thing is, we have no idea whether they were planning on putting the belts on Nakamura and Boogs or not. I have no idea what was the plan at Mania, or whether the injury changed course of direction. Because if the Usos may have been planned to win, and this might have been right, they'll have them lose to the Usos, but then that can set up a feud with Roman.
Yeah, I suppose. I was so convinced that I was right with that one, though. That was one of the ones that I was like.
Very much doubt the plan was Nakamura to challenge Reigns after Mania.
Well, let's segue onto that then.
Yeah, well, if we almost kind of go back a bit to because it all happened in the last segment.
We love it, don't we?
Yeah, we got back and forth
all over the place.
I was worried that I said last week, a lot of the time when a tag team partner gets injured, they don't use the other guy. And we're going to see that, not necessarily injured, released as well, but you're going to see it, I think, with Wes Lee when we go talk about NXT.
Yeah.
But it's Nakamura. They're not going to completely shut him to the side, especially with like you say, the lack of baby faces on SmackDown. But, he's now in the main event thing. So I'm happy about that, because I was wondering who was going to... It was obvious somebody was going to come out at the end to challenge Roman, because nobody did it on Raw. And I thought, they can't just do the same promo on SmackDown with no who is going to challenge at a pay-per-view. And it was Nakamura, and I thought the segment was pretty good, actually.
Well, they didn't get Nakamura to speak, did they? Which is maybe a good thing. He's not the best on promos. So, like, he went to speak and Roman shut him down.
Yeah.
And then the Uso super kicked him. Actually, didn't he hug him, didn't he?
Yeah,
Roman hugged him, which I thought was actually really clever.
I thought it was good, yeah.
I thought that was great. And then just stepped away, bang, super kick. The only thing is, though, I was like, hang on a minute. What if Roman actually wanted to hug him? Because he didn't give the command. Usos just kicked him. Imagine if he was like, what the hell, guys? Started picking him up off the mat. The only thing is, I hope they don't do the usual. Boogs is injured, so let's just leave him off telly for a million years. He didn't wrestle for the first 3 months.
They could just have him.
He can still do the intro, yeah.
Yeah, just bring him back. He can hobble around.
Once he's because I don't know if he's had to have surgery or anything. Obviously,
he's going to be out for a short while for sure.
Yeah, once he's over that, just don't have him wrestle, but you can still have him.
He'll just have a big knee brace, and he'll look pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we said this before. I said this when we started the pod about Bailey. She got injured as we started the pod, and I was like, don't leave Bailey off TV because she's too good. She can talk. You don't need her to wrestle. And they've.
I think the problem with the Bailey one was in the end is she's been out so long. I think they would have run out of stuff for her to do.
That's really frustrating, though.
Yeah, but how long was Britt Baker out? And she was on TV all the time on AEW. It must have been about 6 months. She was not wrestling.
I don't think it was as long as that, but yeah. But Bailey's has been like
It's been
I think
nearly a year.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a long time when you haven't got, especially when she's a single act. She's not got a faction or anything, so it's difficult.
I must say, Boogs has grown on me a lot. I went through a phase, probably back in these podcasts, where I didn't like him and he was annoying me. Now I wouldn't even mind if they like put him on commentary for the odd match and things like that. I think he could be quite funny. I don't want him to leave. Now he's gone. I miss him. So, you know, it's the saying, isn't it?
You don't know what you've got till he's gone.
That's it.
Thing is, he's got over the crowd, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
I'm being a sheep.
I actually think they did want to push Nakamura maybe into this program. I think they were going to continue the feud between Nakamura and Boogs and the Usos, and then it lead to, because what makes me think that is because they could have easily had the plan to be Drew after WrestleMania. But they're obviously holding that off, hopefully until our UK show later in the year.
I think if you've got that in your head, there's no Drew. I know we're sort of bouncing all over the place here, but Drew never got his WrestleMania moment, did he? Because
not in front of
COVID.
fans, no.
Yeah.
This would be as big or bigger, wouldn't it? For
If
Drew
he beat
McIntyre?
Roman,
I think it would mean more to Drew personally to do it in the UK rather than at Mania.
And if it is beating Roman and he hasn't lost before it,
that would be
massive.
absolutely.
No one's beaten Roman.
incredible.
Yeah,
like
they just need to give Drew something to do before then, because I mean, Sami Zayn. I mean, we can segue onto
that's
that.
what I'm saying. I think they wanted to, if they weren't planning for Nakamura, the only person they could have been planning for on SmackDown is Drew, and they're obviously putting Drew in a feud with Sami Zayn. So
they need to keep him occupied till even have him even at SummerSlam. You could have Drew Roman, have him lose through shenanigans.
that's what I can see happening.
And then the Usos, maybe the Usos get involved, Drew loses, but then the split really comes and the Usos drop off from Roman and they're like, see you later. And this is the downfall. He's definitely had it long enough by then, hasn't he? I mean, to drag it out to next Mania. Maybe one belt.
I think he should lose both before next Mania now. Because I would, even when he had one title, I'd have said another year is probably going to be a bit of a
That's
stretch.
interesting you say that. So we're still talking as if he's got. So he's two belts rather than one unified belt. Is that the plan? Because what I took by unifying the belts was we're going to have one belt after Mania, and I know he's walked around with two.
Yeah,
but I would
think they
assume
like the
it's going to be
vision.
one belt.
Well, he said to the Usos, "I've got two belts. You guys have only got one. I want you to have two." So I think they want to carry on them having two, so it looks amazing. They've got all these belts, like Kenny Omega did in AEW when he was belt collector, and like FTR are at the moment.
Yeah,
as well.
FTR are doing, aren't they?
We need an Omega style champion with just belts everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing. I think they just want to have the visual of all the belts. I don't think they bring a new belt in. I really don't.
I've just thought of something mad, but Usos lose to RK Bro, and then somehow Roman decides to have a match with them and wins the tag title. Something stupid, and he's literally just got belts everywhere, and he's like winding the Usos up, saying, "Well, I won them for you," like Belt City.
I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. Like they're putting that much into this, like this many eggs in one basket. Like, you know, it's all the eggs in one basket, isn't it? Really.
I said no. I don't want Roman to beat RK Bro in a handicap match.
No.
Yeah, but obviously he would have the help of the Usos. He's not going to beat them 2-on-1, is he?
Yeah. Well, who knows? Who knows?
But yeah, so we had the Drew. We kind of got onto it, but Drew and Sammy. You had Sammy run away into the crowd here, and they're doing a match again. I can see them dragging this out.
Is this match tonight? Is this tomorrow night? Is this tonight when you're listening? Is this Extreme Rules or is it just the standard? Because I assume they'd have to go do some sort of like no DQ or something to stop him running away again.
That's where we'll
lumberjack.
Get to
that's what it should be.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think maybe we get that at Backlash. I don't think that's what it is tomorrow. I think Sammy will.
Yeah, maybe we get Sammy running away for a couple.
Sammy will get out of it again. Somehow he'll do something different. He won't do exactly the same thing, but he'll do something similar. And then
I think it's a good feud for both of them, because I think Sammy doesn't lose much by losing to.
I love the way this
Knoxville.
opened, by the way, with Sami Zayn talking to Adam Pearce, and being like, the next person who comes through that door, and then it's Drew. It's so classic and cliche, but it's just
was great, and he was just like, "All right, lads."
Yeah.
That was a really good little bit, actually. I enjoyed this. I mean, I don't like count out kind of stuff, but for the purpose of this, it's
For
suited
Zayn,
Sammy.
it works.
It works for this, yeah.
As long as it's storyline purpose, I've got no problem with count outs, dodgy finishes if it's leading to something, and I think this is. So I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm really enjoying Zayn stuff at the moment, which is nice because I was not his biggest fan. So the Jackass stuff weirdly has elevated Sami Zayn for me.
And I think also this is going to be more interesting for Drew than the Happy Corbin feud was.
Oh, that lasted far too long. But that's a good segue.
Yeah, we can go on to that because we finally got. I say finally as if it's been brewing.
I didn't think it was obvious this time.
Madcap Moss is turned face, and again, they are big on Madcap Moss. I think at the moment he won the Battle Royal. He is this joining of Corbin. I think was probably originally meant to give Corbin someone to almost like a bit of fodder for Corbin. Whereas actually, this guy has come in and just overtook Corbin, I think, in the ranks. A bit like Boogs and Nakamura. I think Boogs overtook Nakamura. Wasn't maybe expected to.
I think it's a bit unfair on Corbin because he is a mega heel. Everybody loves to hate him.
He is. I think Boogs has outshone him in that duo. I don't know. Maybe
I'm sorry. I'm talking about Corbin and Moss.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
Boogs is out.
Sorry, I didn't mean Boogs. I meant Moss. I think Moss is outshone Corbin.
I think he's got over with the crowd and they love him. And I think, they've made a star. But I think that's Corbin's. I think that's what he's there to do. He's there to be such a good heel that he can promote and elevate these people. I think I can't remember rightly, but I'm sure Drew was getting a bit of a ropey reception until he got into this feud. But everyone you just can't cheer Corbin, really, can you? Apart from
I think the thing with Drew was he was constantly in the title. People got fed up with him being in the title picture. He lost the title and he kept getting the title match against the feud with Lashley. Like went on forever. Then it was the Miz. It was never. I think people got fed up with that rather than fed up with Drew. But
I just don't think people give Corbin the credit of how
I do agree with you.
Is.
It'll be interesting to see because I mean it's easy to say Moss has overtaken him, but I think now Moss is face and Corbin is heel. It's different. It's a different. They're not they're not on the same pedestal. I think they were both probably even before.
Yeah. Well, what I think we'll get is I think we'll get a good match between these two because they're both good in ring, aren't they?
Very good.
Moss has excelled my expectations in ring.
He's fantastic in ring.
Corbin's always been good in ring, so it's going to be a good match. I think we'll probably get that at Backlash, probably.
Yeah. They may just do it on SmackDown, but I would.
I hope not.
There isn't much announced for Backlash, is there? There's like 2 matches at the moment.
The only thing is, you know what's going to happen again? Moss is going to beat Corbin. It's just.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's a certainty.
No.
I would book it that way, but if I was booking it, I think Moss is the guy.
I'm thinking Corbin should win several times weekly. So you should win 2 or 3 times over the next few weeks.
Over other people, you mean?
And Moss. And against Moss, even if he cheats. And then Backlash, he then gets the win. You're sort of stereotypical build.
Yeah. I would like to see Corbin with like a bit of a faction. We kind of started it with, do you remember Cutler and Blake?
Yeah.
They joined him and then they got released. And I think he could again this Moss thing. I think that was the original plan, but I think I in my opinion, I think Moss has exceeded their expectations, and they've decided to go with Moss. So I think he needs a couple of stooges with him.
Lone Wolf, I know it sort of defies the point, but Lone Wolf Corbin would have fit quite well into this Edge faction, I think. But
Lone Wolf Corbin would have,
I would like to see a belt on Corbin. Have we had it? Did he have?
No, I said that
he's never won a belt in WWE. No,
I said that he could beat.
That's just wrong.
He could beat Ricochet for the IC title.
I thought there was a chance they were going to go for the tag belts at one point, Corbin and Moss, but never did.
I honestly thought he was going to cash in all them years ago when they made a complete balls up of the Money in the Bank. That was embarrassing. He definitely should have got that belt. I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but in my opinion, he definitely should have had it.
You are Corbin's biggest fan.
Sorry?
Said you are.
I am a big Corbin fan. I think it's because he's disliked and slated that I stick up for him a bit. I don't know why. I just like that. I know he's only got about 3 or 4 like moves really that he does, but those moves I really enjoy. quite an exciting night, really,
Move-
wasn't it, for debuts?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was going to say we got another name change on this show, didn't we?
yeah.
This one
Yeah.
seems like a random move because
It's such an inoffensive name change.
yeah,
So
literally.
I think it's similar to I mentioned when Walter changed to Gunters because his name was actually Walter. I think similarly here, I think her surname is actually Gonzalez. So I think her first name's not Raquel, but her surname's actually Gonzalez. So maybe now she's on mainstream TV, she doesn't want her surname being in her name, so they've changed it to.
I also wonder whether
Rodriguez.
WWE push this upon them slightly, the superstars, because of the problems with the likes of Adam Cole,
They do, yeah. They like
Samoa
to
Joe.
own,
They
like to
don't
own
want
the
them
names.
carrying it.
Yeah,
if they get so popular. So how
Yeah.
do you combat that? You take their name away.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, Undisputed Era all came in with their own names, and they've all left, and they never got to use them properly on the main roster. So they wasted them. Really, I know NXT they were brilliant, but they never got to use them.
We've probably got the same the same with Marcel Bartel. Now thinking about this, now we're chatting about it, because
Yeah.
he's probably someone who they will use and then release.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, he was the third member of Imperium, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Fabian Eichner
He's a
is
good
a
talker,
better
though.
in-ring performer than.
He's a better talker.
Marcel.
Yeah.
He is a
Eichner's
better
in
talker.
ring. Marcel
Yeah.
Bartel
I think that's why
definitely
they
better
called
talker.
him up to do this role. I
Yeah.
feel sorry for Eichner. I don't.
I as long as Eichner gets used on NXT, which he hasn't so far, but it's only been 1 week.
It
As long
would
as
be
he gets
cool if they
used-
brought him up eventually. They might, you never know. They might bring him in, give themselves another tag team, because they're phenomenal in ring.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. The tag team division isn't stacked, and I think Imperium would have been a good tag team to have. And maybe Gunter's plan is to be in the tag team, but that's a waste of
I
Gunter.
can't imagine it. And while we're on sort of tag teams and all these debuts happening, I think grizzled young veterans should come up to the main roster. I think they would be fantastic and they'd get over as heels big time.
So one I don't think will, but I actually think Legado del Fantasma should come up. It might all three of them I think should come up. I don't they
Good, yeah.
won't because they're being used on NXT still, but I think they are.
Yeah, I think it's time for them as well. And we'll get to GYV later about when we get to the
So
tag
just
corner.
quickly, we never actually mentioned Raquel Gonzalez got called up. we never mentioned her name. She got
We
called up.
are. I think it's because we haven't all been together
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks.
She
We're all like,
is Raquel
"Ah."
Rodriguez, and she got hit on by Los Lotharios, and she turned them down.
I'm glad she
that
turned
was
them down.
introduction to the main roster. Yeah,
I was like, oh my God, she's not gonna kiss them or whatever they asked for here. I was like,
yeah, kiss
from,
the cam,
just
wasn't it?
because it would be insulting from how amazing how much of a sort of beast she is on NXT. And I hope they use her properly because I cannot wait to see her face Bianca Belair.
I think Raquel v Charlotte's a great match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
well,
Charlotte.
that's a SmackDown.
Rhea Ripley,
so-
all of those, they're all
Sasha-
phenomenal
her and
athletes
Sasha.
and really strong.
Yeah.
Sasha will be good. I'm sure. So
I'm
I-
excited for this one.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. Are you surprised that Raquel got called up before Dakota Kai? Because
I said last week I think they'll get caught up together.
I was going to
Well,
get salty
Dakota's-
on this in NXT, but
yeah.
I mean, I can go off on it now.
Dakota's not been called up yet.
I'm
No.
annoyed with this. I'll wait till NXT. I'll wait till it because it
Yeah.
ties in with
We
the matches.
mentioned
Okay.
Gunther's call up. He just had a squash match, which I think is a good way to debut people.
Yep,
you know.
that's how you should use Gunter. Yeah.
I just gave him a showcase. He looked strong. Great. That was fine. I suppose we should probably talk about.
Well, we had Butch's
Ronda
in ring
Rousey.
debut as well. We had
Oh, yeah, we
debut
did get
C.
Butch. Yeah, we can talk about Butch's debut if you want
Yep, gone.
first.
Yeah,
Well-
so he had his in-ring debut against Xavier
And he
Woods
lost. That's how you don't. do
by roll-up.
it. Yeah.
The only thing I can sort of see with this is he went in so aggressively that he's going to need to almost be nurtured by Sheamus
Yeah, that might be the story. then.
to calm him down a bit, and he turns into like a little machine, which could be quite a cool story actually. Because he is
I
that
think,
aggressive,
yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah, I think
But-
let's just let this one.
The match
play
was
out.
good
Let's
as well
not
until
overreact.
until it happened, until
To
the finish happened.
roll-ups.
You know, Xavier Woods and Butch or Pete Dunne is a good match. It was a good
Yeah.
match whilst they were wrestling. But yeah, for him to lose on his debut is a bit of a shame.
The
But I
fact
do
is,
think
really,
that
though,
story
we
is
have to
there.
appreciate he is wrestling on SmackDown. He's actually getting a match. So that's
Yeah,
a
I think-
start.
Sometimes the fact he's been renamed Butch can overshadow the fact that Pete Dunne is on SmackDown. And
Yeah.
that's great.
And he's getting a match. So
Yeah.
And I like the faction with Sheamus and Ridge. I think it's a good idea. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Just got to see how this one rolls. I'm not going to be too negative.
Yeah. And then we might as well talk about the Ronda Rousey stuff on the show.
Yes.
Wasn't a particularly interesting. I mean, we've been down on this feud really since way before Mania, but it's continuing, so we've got to talk about it. But I think the one positive thing to come out of it is we're getting an I Quit match, which I like the idea of. We haven't had one of them in quite a long time. And I think that will be a good stipulation. At least we're getting a match with a different stipulation rather than just the exact same thing.
And surely Ronda has to win this one.
I would think so, because surely you're not going to have Ronda.
You can't have her lose an I Quit match and lose twice in a row.
Yeah, unless it depends on how long Ronda's sticking around. I mean,
again, I go back to us thinking the reason, because we obviously read into this UK tour announcement.
Yeah, because
she's not staying in WWE without winning that belt. Did she win the belt? She hasn't won the belt, has she?
No, she lost.
She never won the belt. So I was just trying to think if she had it before Becky won.
She had it in her first run. Yeah.
Oh, she had it in the first run.
She did have
it.
Yeah. So she has won it. I was just.
I thought you meant in this instance.
No, that'd be awful. If I mean, fair enough. I can't remember 2-3 years ago, but if I couldn't remember WrestleMania,
she won
I shouldn't be on here.
She won it off of. I want to say Asuka.
No, I think it was Alexa Bliss.
Right.
It was because she was
really
fighting
quick
Nia
and
Jax
annoying,
for it, and then Alexa Bliss cashed in on Nia Jax.
That's it. Yeah, you're right.
And then she lost it really fast.
I'm out for memory.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I remember Ronda having a really good match at the Royal Rumble with Sasha.
And she had a little run. She faced Nikki Bella. She faced Ruby Riott. She had a good run of matches, title matches against these people.
Okay.
And
I still think she's going to win.
Yeah, probably.
I think she's going to win. I think we're going to see Ronda champion in on our little tour. Possibly loses at SummerSlam if she's finished by then. But then I have seen some articles saying that basically she's in this. This is her career now.
May well be. She's not going to go back to UFC.
No, so I think she might stick with this. I don't think she's quite. The thing is, the likes of Brock and that, who sort of dive in and out, had been in WWE for years and years. So I can't see her being able to do that too much and keep sort of reputation. I think she's going to stick around for a little while now.
Yeah, and also remember, the only reason she left originally was because she wanted the baby. She didn't leave to do something else. She left to start a family. So that's fair enough. She didn't leave because she lost the passion for it. So I just want to quickly mention something else on the show. Again, kind of a reintroduction of sorts to Lacey Evans we had here.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I thought this was a good promo.
Kind of a face, and we saw this. She did this face thing before for a little bit, didn't she? Where she was a war vet and whatever. I can't remember how.
This was so much more personal, though. It felt like
it was, but let's not forget the last time we saw her on TV, she was having Ric Flair's baby. That's the last time we saw her.
I'm glad that got cut short.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, that was one of the worst storylines of all time. It was right up there. But
thank God she got pregnant in real life and had to disappear.
Yeah, she is back.
I like this. I liked it. I thought it was good.
I'm glad she's back. I wouldn't have predicted her to be the first one of these women on the shelf to come back before Asuka and Bayley, but
no,
I'm not sure I'd have debuted her. Was not debuted. I'm not sure I'd have brought her back on the same day as Raquel being debuted. I think and Gunther. It's a bit much in one go.
My concern was, I think I said to you, Krusty, is the SmackDown Women's Division. So they called up Xia Li, they've called up Shotzi not that long ago, and Aaliyah. Those were the three names that stood out to me. We haven't seen them on TV. They're down the pecking order, and they've got two new women on there to compete with. I know Tony Storm's left,
and you've got Charlotte, Ronda, Sasha, Naomi. Shayna, Natalya. The roster's big on SmackDown Women's Division.
Yeah,
like we've said, SmackDown needed call-ups, but not necessarily women call-ups.
Yeah, but I don't mind them having more women, but they don't use the women they've got. That's the fault.
Because wasn't Lacey on Raw last time we saw her?
Yeah,
I know there's been a draft.
Yeah. She was on Raw before, but obviously,
and Raw needs the bigger roster because it's 3 hours.
Yeah, I would have personally put Lacey on Raw. Or
maybe they're coming up to some sort of weird draft coming up. I don't know.
Yeah. Just what it also last thing on SmackDown from me is Liv Morgan got a big win.
Oh yeah,
beat Sasha Banks.
I didn't expect that. As a roll up, but
That was the thing, another roller.
It did get
winning
kind of undone on Raw a bit, but she won here on SmackDown, and they made what was interesting was the commentary team were like, "Oh, this is a massive deal," and Naomi was like, "Oh, it means nothing." It does mean, I guess that's her role, but she was kind of a heel, Naomi, on commentary, I thought, which I don't think they're meant to be, or maybe that's the way they're going.
They have an arrogance, don't they, about them?
Yeah.
Sasha Banks always has, hasn't she? And I like the fact Naomi's buying into that. But no, it was good to see her win, even if it was by roll up.
Yeah.
The thing is with roll ups doesn't make her look weak, does it? I suppose.
Yeah,
Sasha.
she hasn't went over Sasha Banks in her record books.
Yeah, which is hard to do. So.
Yeah. Raw.
Yeah, I think we can segue on to what you just said. It's not probably the biggest segment from the show, but I think it's
might be the smallest.
In terms of no, it's not. But Bianca Belair's first challenger was revealed.
Sorry. I thought you meant Liv and Naomi's match. Sorry,
no. We don't. I was just going to say you were talking about maybe putting Raquel or Lacey on Raw, and I thought they were going to bring someone new in for a challenger here, Asuka, Bayley, or Alexa Bliss. But they mentioned Alexa Bliss. She mentioned Alexa Bliss in the promo, so I knew it wasn't going to be her. But you could have easily plugged one of them into a program with Bianca Belair here. So it's very interesting that Sonya Deville basically said, sign an open contract and I'll find you an opponent. Bianca signs it. She tells Adam Pearce she's got a plan for the first match of Bianca's reign. And then she's going through names. It could be, Doudrop, Alexa Bliss. She names a few people. And then she goes drum roll and then Bianca's staring towards the ramp. And then she attacks her from behind and reveals that it's going to be herself facing Bianca for the title at Backlash. What do you make of that? Because I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought it was going to be a from the start when Sonya was on about signing an open contract, I thought this is Sonya taking the title shot. So I kind of saw this coming. It was still cool, and I think it's actually not a bad first feud for. I think it'd be a good match, and I think it's decent. I don't know. I was expecting it. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Asuka or Bayley, but
I completely agree with Sean. I knew this was coming the moment she was sort of in the ring with her, but also, again, as Keeney says, I actually liked this, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's a good interim. I know what you're saying, Fisher, but imagine if we'd have had another sort of recall up. I think it's just firing them out too quick. And I think it is quite exciting. I know she had the stuff going on with Ronda, but I think this is more of a feud she can get her teeth into. So I'll look forward to this.
Just also with if you were calling someone up, it's almost a very hard spot to put someone in to come up and lose to Bianca Belair.
I was more thinking
straight
return
away. Return. Even a return. Do you want Bayley to come back and lose the title match straight away?
No, you could have put Lacey Evans in there and it would have been okay. But they want her as a baby.
Poor old Lacey Evans.
Well, she's not going to win the title, is she?
Well,
you never know.
She may do one day.
She
was
pretty
over.
Now. She was pretty over.
She was in the title scene.
I know
with
they
Becky,
like her.
and she was in the feud with Charlotte before she left.
I thought she was going to win at one point. I was prepping her to win.
Yeah,
they do like her, but I think maybe you're right in terms of as well. You just mentioned, bringing them all back in one go. I think maybe bringing like Asuka or Bayley back is a bigger match for SummerSlam or something like that as well.
Yeah.
So you could hold off because Bianca's going to have that title for a while, isn't she?
I hope so.
Because I don't see Becky. I think Becky's taking a bit of a break. There's no reason to put the title back on Becky. So there's no one on Raw at the moment where you're like, put the title on them other than Bianca Belair. She should run through that roster.
Give her a long reign.
There's a lot of women they listed. Sonya listed quite a few, and there's a couple to come back yet. So you can do that for sure.
Yeah. What else do we have? We had Veer Mahan send Dominic Mysterio to hospital.
He absolutely wrecked Dominic, which I'm loving. Big Veer absolutely trouncing people, but poor old Dominic has just gone from hero to zero, hasn't he? He's getting destroyed.
And this is concerning. And there was no Ray this week either, interestingly.
Yeah, he wasn't there for some sort of medical because it was meant to be Veer versus Ray, wasn't it? That was the advertised match.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, they advertised that the week before, so I was thinking, we're getting Veer v Ray. That's a big first match for Veer, but for some reason, and we'll get to it when we get to Rhea Ripley as well that's why she wasn't on SmackDown or Raw. I think it was COVID issues.
Okay.
But it plays into the story nicely because Rhea's not been very supportive. But that's the reason.
And even
she's not
Ray,
there.
it kind of plays into
I
Dominic
think this
being
plays
destroyed.
into the story. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna
so
it makes a meaning for the match now, doesn't it? Because it was a bit weird having Ray straight away, I think.
I think it would be better to do Veer versus Ray at a pay-per-view or something like that anyway. So I think Veer squashing Dominic first makes more sense anyway. So I'm actually kind of glad that they did that match first. And yeah, it made Veer look good. You know?
Yeah.
He's had a decent start, I think. Not amazing, like nothing, like not like wow, he's going to win the world title or anything, but yeah. solid heel work.
Yeah.
Veer versus Roman at SummerSlam.
Let's see it.
Battle of the heels. Get Veer a
Let's see
faction
it.
against the Bloodline. Reuniting with Jinder and Shanky. You've got.
I mean, that'd be completely pointless. If they do that, that'd be the biggest
that would be the
waste
worst
of
thing that happened
time.
to Veer. That would.
I wasn't being serious.
No, well, I'm just saying. Just don't waste your time, please.
So Jinder will be Intercontinental Champion on Friday anyway.
Oh, he has got a match. Yeah.
He can pull that off.
He shouldn't beat Ricochet.
No, I don't want him to beat Ricochet yet. Ricochet needs a bit more time with it, but still.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be world champion.
I don't really want him to be on any kind of champion.
I was going to say on TV now. That's a bit harsh.
No. So you mentioned the Bloodline. The Usos we mentioned on SmackDown, they were sent to unify the tag belts. And we had kind of an in-ring segment with RK Bro and the Street Profits, who appear to have dropped their kind of heelish ways.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that they didn't go all the way through with that.
I think it's a shame as well. But we did get a great tag team match here, the Usos and the Street Profits. And again, if these teams fought before, because it's felt fresh.
I think they have when Street Profits were over on SmackDown, but it's been a while.
Yeah, just
obviously Street Profits have been on Raw. They did feud for the titles on SmackDown way back, like over a year ago.
Yeah, and the Usos got the win, which I think kind of de facto means we're going to get at Backlash. We're going to get that Usos RK Bro match.
Yeah, they both held up the titles at the end, didn't they, towards each other? So I think that's definitely happening. Be one of the big matches for Backlash. It's going to be good.
But interesting again, we saw it a bit before Mania, and we're seeing it now without a title on Raw. The tag division is kind of leading the way on Raw, which is interesting. Yeah, as we often saw closing segments. The closing segments were often RK Bro and Alpha Academy and the Profits, and now Usos coming over. So tag divisions ruling the roost on Raw. Yeah,
well, there's no other. I mean, the United States title is pretty irrelevant, and there's no WWE title on Raw. So yeah, it kind of has to be, I guess. Other than the women's title, which is pretty important. Yeah, I loved in the build-up as well here. Orton was kind of making the match, wasn't he? And I loved it as well. He had a good line about the Usos saying Roman's let his bitches off the leash.
That was great. Yeah, that was a great line.
And that got a bit of a reaction from the crowd. And Orton was so over as a babyface again throughout this, which is great.
I think he's the most over babyface on Raw right now.
It's nice to see it.
Second behind Cody, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Cody.
That's a good segue. Let's talk about Fish's crush.
Tell us about Cody, Fish.
Well, yeah, it was. I loved the opening segment to Raw. There were some people criticizing the match, like the fact that he was having a match against The Miz. I do not understand why.
It's a good first opponent, isn't it?
It's a great first opponent to have. It's not a feud either. It's just a setup match for another feud. It's not like he's going to have a 6-month-long feud with The Miz. I'd agree. If he was doing that, that'd be a waste of time. But for him to have just that segment, the promo here was brilliant because Cody was calling, he was like saying wrestlers, and Miz was like, no, superstars. And he called it a belt, and he was like, title. Belt's what you wear around your waist. And so Cody was using all these words that are banned in WWE on purpose, obviously. He didn't slip up. He was meant to say it. But so he's come in as this outsider, and Miz is like Mr. WWE correcting him. I thought it was brilliant. And they're good back and forth. Cody saying, I've been gone all this time. You're literally exactly the same character. Like, you haven't changed a bit. He was like, look at me. I'm not the same Cody Rhodes I was before. Really good setup for their match later on in the show. Was very shocked at the placing of the match.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I thought this might have closed the show, this match.
I thought for sure. Normally you do the opening segment and then it sets up the main event. And a match of that big, Cody's first match back on Raw, I thought, oh, for sure, that's going to main event, but it didn't. The tag team.
It was like
match
end
did.
of the first hour, wasn't it? Or start
Yeah,
of the
it was
second
like
hour.
really
Yeah.
bad.
Two matches, and then it was on. I was like, okay, that's weird. But he got
Nice, though, to
the
have a
amount of
bit of a
pyro he
boost.
got, by the way. I've never seen anything like it.
Using up their budget, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got no Cody Vader anymore, which is the the thing for the door, through the floor. They didn't use that anymore. But yeah, the pyro budget, fucking hell. When we see those budget cuts come in, it's all gone on Cody's pyro.
I think he was like,
That's
surprised
Tegan
by it. He
Knox's
was like,
wages.
what's going on? Pyro City.
Yeah, it's mad. Especially the first time he came out. But even the second time, I think he got a bit. But yeah, they're going nuts at it. But what did you make of the actual, like, first of all, that segment and the match? Because I thought the match was pretty good as well. It was decent. It wasn't amazing, anything special, but it was good.
Yeah, I think you've covered all the points from the promo. All the points I liked about it was, really good. And the match itself was good. I mean, it's to be expected. I think Cody is just a really good worker. And that's why there's a lot of reasons he's such a good signing for WWE, but one is he is a workhorse. He will wrestle most weeks. He'll have good matches. He'll tell good stories. And
I think his storytelling is what stands out. His best matches are story.
He's one of the best storytellers in ring in wrestling.
His match with Dustin was one of my favorite matches he's ever had, and that was a story match more than a technical wrestling masterpiece. I love that about him.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and to be honest, I don't understand the hate for this sort of first match, because these two guys are pretty similar as well. If you think about it, you've got they're very good in ring. They've both been around a while. They both have reality TV shows.
Yeah, exactly. They make some perfect
young children. They're very similar. This could work quite nicely.
I mean, down the line, if you did do a feud, you could even bring Brandy and Maurice into this.
Yeah,
could.
Yeah,
which I'm not saying they should do that right now, but yeah.
Well, we got Seth come out, and we've got a second match at Backlash announced, haven't we, for Cody and Seth?
Yeah. So Seth comes out at the end, and so Cody was talking about him in the first segment with the Miz, and then he comes out at the end here and says, I heard you talking about a rematch earlier, and Cody agrees to it.
I'm really looking forward to this, but I say it every time Seth gets in the ring over the last year. Is he just going to lose again? This
is a bit of a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Because if he wins, people are going to be like, oh my God, they're 50-50 booking Cody Rhodes like already. And if
Seth,
and if Cody wins, then Seth loses again. So they're in it's a
good opportunity to lead on to the next. What they're going to do next, I guess, for both of these guys.
But I think that's the question is, did they need to do a second match here? Or could they have done Cody and Miz at Backlash and move maybe Seth on to fight someone else? I can't think of anyone.
I reckon you could probably have this match be interfered in or have the entrance drop for Cody's next opponent, giving Seth the win. Because Seth's finisher is so snappy. I think it would really work and wouldn't look crap. I know we don't like weird finishes, but I don't know who Cody's next opponent could be. But
so I'm trying to think. Other than the Miz, there's not many obvious options out there.
I don't really know at all.
Like you could go with Edge's crew.
Kevin Owens, Edge, Damian Priest.
Edge would be awesome, but that needs to be a SummerSlam match, not.
Well, this is I think we're going to get. I think Seth actually is going to win at Backlash, but not clean.
Early pred.
And then we're going to. Hell in a Cell is a month after that.
Oh, hello.
So they're going to do what they did with Seth Rollins.
So we predicted Hell in a Cell again. We did this last time. We got it wrong.
And Seth's going to win in the Cell.
Well, last year you had Seth v Edge. Then you had Seth v Edge again.
Match of the
year. They went 1-1.
Match
and then
year.
They had the third match at Hell in a Cell, which Edge won to blow off the feud. I can see them doing the same thing here, but with Cody replacing Edge.
Once Seth loses again.
Seth wins the second match, but then loses the third one.
That's too similar.
He's got to lose the feud, though. He has to lose the feud. Cody can't lose his first feud. He can lose that.
I think he can,
but not the feud.
I think he can, but
I don't think he can lose a match yet. Personally,
building into a bigger picture. Edge or someone coming out, just his music dropping and causing problems. Seth getting a win. The focus goes completely off who's won and who's just come out.
I don't think Rollins losing will ever hurt him because he's Seth Rollins.
No, but he needs to win at some point, for God's sake. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
I agree.
I think sometimes that stigma of losing won't hurt them can eventually be their biggest downfall because they're always booked to lose.
But what I think you do is instead of just doing match, defeat, match, you book him against other people in between and have him win matches in the middle.
Let's get him beat Ricochet straight after this.
You can have Seth Rollins face, I don't know, an undercard baby face. Well, you could have Balor once he's lost the US title. You could have Rollins...
or give Seth the US title.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I said Ricochet. I meant Balor. I'm on the wrong brand.
Why not
any guy on thing? You can still have him feuding with Cody, but you can do. This is the thing. In AEW, they would just have random matches to build up the wins, and then the feuds are on the side. And they do that at the pay-per-view or on a big Dynamite. But, you don't have to... Basically, what I'm saying is you can have Seth win matches, but still lose to Cody. Because then it wouldn't feel like he's always losing, because he'd have won matches in between.
Yeah,
I think that's how you do it. But they probably won't do that. They probably won't have Seth even wrestle.
Yeah, they tend, when a feud's happening, they tend to only interact with the person they're feuding with.
Funny, I did read something the other day.
Seth fight someone else.
That's why I liked Cody beating Miz, because it gave him an extra match, an extra win before the feud.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I did read something the other day, actually, Seth commenting on Raw being 3 hours long and having to wrestle every week. He doesn't. I don't think he's keen on it. I think he realizes it burns people out.
He is a moaner, isn't he, Seth? He does love a moan, doesn't he?
I think he's got a good point though. Whereas SmackDown, he mentioned Roman Reigns. He never wrestles, but he's still relevant because the show's 2 hours, pretty packed. Whereas 3 hours, they have to get all these big guys wrestling week in, week out. It's like when we had Kenny Omega over on Dynamite. He wasn't wrestling every week, was he?
I don't feel like Seth does wrestle every week though.
He has.
He did the build up to Mania
more than Roman and people like that. Yeah, because he was. They were doing that fighting for the chance. But I don't.
No, but even before that, it was in tag team matches every week. He did wrestle a lot in the build up to Mania.
Yeah, he did in that period. Yeah, definitely.
I just think it's more special when they don't wrestle every week. But I don't want the opposite, where Roman wrestles once a year. Yeah. I want to see them a little bit more than that.
I mean, you say this, but I love seeing Seth wrestle every week in a way.
I do, but I think it should be a little bit more special than the same people week in, week out. Yeah.
The problem is who he's fighting against. It's usually the same people.
Yeah.
And we need some variation. AEW maybe do it too much and they bring in random people for one-off matches just so it's fresh. Whereas this is different. There's a middle ground somewhere you can find. But you don't.
Talking of new people, a guy that we hadn't seen ever until last week, Ezekiel. So let's talk about him. What? Oh, you weren't on the show last week, Keys. You haven't had your say on Ezekiel. Yeah, I want to know what you make of it.
Oh God, what do I say?
I kind of love this, but it's stupid. It's stupid, but I kind of like it.
I can't tell you how confused I was last week when I saw on the screen Ezekiel, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah, same here.
Even when he walked out, I didn't recognize him. I was like, "I don't know who this is." It's just some random.
It took
me
a few seconds
until he started speaking. I was like, "Oh, it's Elias." Okay, fair enough. Oh no, it's not Elias, is it? But we think it's Elias.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
He's his younger brother.
I mean,
he's got as far to Photoshop himself next to himself.
Yeah, that is funny. That is funny. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, is this what Owens thought he'd be doing after he had a match with Stone Cold in the main event of Mania? Probably not, to be fighting Ezekiel, but it's a funny feud. Owens is a good.
I think they can make this work because they're both funny guys. I mean, we've seen Elias and Owens before when they were actually a team for a bit.
They got booed.
Yeah, they're very good at getting reactions out of crowd. And I think they can make this work.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be interesting what Ezekiel was like in the ring. Is he going to be exactly Elias' moves?
I think he'll be exactly the same. Yeah. I think he's done well, Ezekiel. I think he's been funny so far. I'm intrigued. They're doing a lie detector test on Monday, so let's see what happens.
And what I did find interesting is they brought Tommaso Ciampa into this, kind of.
Oh yeah, so they kind of said
Ciampa finally made his official Raw, David. No name change, which is nice.
There is a name change in a minute I'll get to.
Oh yeah. But Ciampa was here, and he had a little bit funny little line with this as well. And Owens was getting frustrated, like, am I the only sane one around here? So maybe we get Ezekiel versus Owens, but I
want
wouldn't
to see
mind
Ciampa Owens.
Tommaso Ciampa versus Kevin Owens. Bring that on, because Ciampa's clearly a face, I think.
Yeah.
So you can have next week, maybe Ciampa comes out to defend Ezekiel or something. I don't know. Yeah, he could come out and defend Ezekiel, and we can see how it goes. And then you can have Owens v Ezekiel, but then do a feud between. That would be a feud I'd love to see. Ciampa versus Owens.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to bring Ciampa into Edge's faction, but it doesn't look like that's the direction.
Who knows?
I think they would have debuted him in it. I don't think there's point in bringing him in and turning him that quickly. So
yeah, no, you're probably right. So I mentioned a name change. They've finally changed Austin Theory's name to just Theory. It's a very Matt Riddle type thing. It can't be a surprise. I mean, when I actually mentioned this on the WrestleMania pay-per-view pod when we had Austin Theory with Stone Cold Steve Austin, I was like,
do you reckon that was the final thing that made Vince think,
I reckon Vince realized, it's like, shit, I've got two Austins here.
Yeah.
Like to say, I think eventually Gable Stevenson will just be called Stevenson. That's what I think will happen.
I think they'll change Chad Gable's name, not to just Gable Stevenson's.
Shorty G.
Because Gable Stevenson's his real name, and it's got like name value because of his sort of celebrity status.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Whereas Chad Gable, you can just
Chad.
Not Shorty G again, please, but like I can see them changing his name. Chad. Just to Chad, maybe, just to Chad.
And we've got a double wedding next week. You looking forward to that?
It'll be all right. Do you know what? These segments aren't too bad. What I did find sad, but also kind of funny, and I know Krusty will have his say on this in a minute. Nikki ASH has now gone from women's champion about 6 months ago to involved in this.
Oh, I mean, it sounds horrible, but I almost think it's where she was always going to.
This gimmick kind of feels like it should be in this, to be fair.
I started off not minding this, but it's dragging out a little bit now. Some of it's funny, but it's probably about 10%.
I hate it, by the way. Hate it.
Really?
I don't like anything about it. It's
that
shocking.
Surprises me. I thought you may like this.
Yeah, I'm strange sometimes. I love Loomis and
that's why
Indy.
I thought you might
I don't like this.
I hate it more when they're doing stuff inside the ring, like matches with no title on the line, and then they're doing roll up and they're running around the arena. I hate all that stuff for the 27/47 title. I don't mind stuff where it's outside of a wrestling concept because it feels separate, and that's fine to me. Luis Lothario's coming in was a bit random here. They had a random little appearance.
It's another wrestling wedding.
I hope they don't do the wedding in the ring. I don't want to see it as an in-ring segment because I think it'd be shit. If they do it as a funny segment somewhere, do it at a bloody church for I don't know, do it somewhere outside.
I don't think they'll do that. I think,
or a registry place, whatever, with somewhere where people can get married. It looks, or at least it looks like that. It won't actually be that, but make it look like that. Then it could be an okay segment. It could be.
I mean, it's all just going to lead to Tamina winning 24/7 title, isn't it? It's just going to be a roll up.
I think it leads to Truth winning it back. That's what I think it leads.
I think so.
I think this is all his plan. He's got this certificate so that you can be the official.
He's going to be the vicar.
I love this title more than anything, and he's going to somehow end up with the title.
That bit's going to be good. The Truth bit's going to be good.
Yeah.
In fact, the actual thing may be okay.
I don't think it's too bad.
The build up to it, I've just not.
I
honestly shut off when it comes on. I'm like, I don't care unless they suddenly pile the 10 guys that they're and women now that they're fighting over this down to the ring and just start smashing each other in the head with bins like they used to. I want the hardcore title back. That is what I want.
That's
that
was
what good chaos, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is just.
At least it gives lower card people something to do. But
don't.
I know.
Not this.
It's
just
not
let them
great.
hit each other with bin lids.
But it has just been Tozawa, Reggie, R-Truth, Tamina, and Dana Brooke for about 3 months now. It feels like it's just been the same people.
I miss the Jinder days.
Or even, you remember we had Cedric for a while down there.
Drake Maverick was the goat of this.
Drake Maverick was brilliant. Yeah, they shouldn't have released Drake Maverick.
He's actually back working for WWE, by the way.
I was going to say, I thought
he came back. He's not. He's working on Raw as a writer or producer or something. Yeah, he's back with WWE, but not as an in-ring talent.
He's doing well for himself.
That's good.
Yeah, they brought him back again. They've released him twice.
He's too good. He's too good to release. So
Going for a Samoa Joe.
shall I get skiddy?
I'll get skiddy.
Because I've got a skid mark from Raw.
Oh yeah, this is
all over the floor.
This would have been mine if you didn't have it already.
We've briefly kind of touched on Edge and his crew, and we had a match announced for this Raw, AJ and Damian Priest, and I was like, cannot wait for this one. Like, God, this is like not quite dream match territory, but it's like a match I cannot wait to see. And it was quite good, whilst it happened. But then for no reason whatsoever, the lights go down, and a purple light goes on Damian Priest. Then we just move on with the show, and there's no like finish to the match. It's not like a count out. There's no DQ finish.
Yeah, it just literally cuts the advert break.
We just move on, and no one really addresses it. Like AJ backstage is like, what the hell just happened there? Like, he's the only one that addressed it, but what? Since when has that been an ending to a match? It's just what a shame. What a waste of these two guys wrestling to do.
It's a shame because the action was so good. I put like, I'm loving this match on my notes. Like, there was a bit where he went for the reckoning and he counted it into a Pele kick. Like, I was just like, this is awesome wrestling. What a match this is. I did smell a bit of a weird finish because you didn't really want either guys to lose.
I don't know what you're going to say then.
No, because Priest has just joined the faction. So if he just got pinned really easy, you'd be like, he looks a bit weak going into that faction. And obviously, you don't want AJ to lose again because you're building to the match with Edge again. So I did think maybe they'd do a DQ or double count out or something. But for them to not even do a finish and just do some weird power, like it reminded me of the Balor stuff, the Bray Wyatt stuff, where he just like turn the lights off and he'd disappear. Like, we don't need more of this spooky stuff. I don't want the Priest Edge faction to be like spooky.
No, we're so excited about it, and if that's what this is going to become, then that's such a shame.
Hopefully, they don't do any more of this. But yeah, I didn't like it at all. I was hoping like the lights were going to go off, and then the lights come back on, and there'll be somebody else there as well. And the match will continue, just like a new member. Okay, this person's with them. Like, I don't know who, but
I'd say no.
It could be Wendy Chu for like it. I don't know. Like, it literally could be anybody. But yeah, it's just very tiresome. It would be hilarious in that faction, wouldn't it?
That's what I want to see in that faction.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. This is a skid mark because it was a highly anticipated match, good action, but the finish was bloody awful. And AJ made me laugh with his promo afterwards because he basically said what I felt. He was like, "This is bullshit" or something.
Yeah.
BS. I think he actually said BS, but yeah.
BS,
I was like, "Yes,
man.
AJ, it is."
And he was covered in blood, wasn't he? So AJ, he looked quite cool.
Yeah.
He had like blood spatter. It wasn't his blood, I don't think. He had
He
blood
keeps cutting
spatter.
himself open. He did it at Mania as well. I don't know.
Yeah, he walked into the stage, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I've seen a clip of it. He walks into the stage as he's trying to walk out and cuts his head open.
I don't know what's going on with him, but he keeps
Too
cutting
excited.
himself.
That's what Krusty would do if he was at Mania.
Let's hope not. Let's hope I don't walk into Summit when we finally get to the UK. PLE.
PLE, man.
PLE, dude. I think the only other thing really worth mentioning here is the Bianca Belair facing Zelina Vega. And
There's one other thing.
Beating her. Although we've already spoke about the Sonya Deville thing. So
yeah,
I
we
didn't
didn't mention the match. Yeah.
No, I thought it was okay. The only thing I really liked about this is the fact that Zelina can really take a bump, and she made Bianca Belair look incredible. That's the sort of notes that I had, which is why I wanted to mention it. There
was one other thing from Raw that I think was worth mentioning, and that was the Bobby Lashley Omos MVP segment.
Oh yeah,
of course.
So Lashley come out and he's basically crashed the VIP lounge before they get there. Calls Omos out, and I thought they had some really. Lashley and MVP had a good back and forth here. Omos didn't say anything, which I think is the right decision. It's a perfect. That's why you need MVP with him to be his mouthpiece. Just stood there looking big, you know. I liked it because I think they both made sense in what they said. MVP was basically like, you know, you had nothing before it come along. You what were you doing? You were like, he made a joke about Lana.
Rush, didn't he? Yeah.
I thought he was talking about Lana when he was talking about TikTok star.
I thought he mentioned. I thought
he didn't say anyone by name. I thought he was referencing Lana, but anyway, he had the Lana stuff.
I thought it was Leo Rush.
He had Leo Rush. He had the sisters stuff. You know, he had a messy.
I forgot all about that.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. So MVP made the
Lashley.
point of, I bloody saved your career, which is kind of true. But
Yep.
I also thought what Lashley said was true, which is you're leeching onto a big star and you can't do any, like, what are you doing anymore? Like, you're just here. So I thought actually they both had a point and that works. So yeah, I like the feud between the two of them. Whether we need another match between Lashley and Omos, I don't know. I actually want to see Lashley v MVP more than I want to see Lashley v Omos.
Yeah, well, he did say, didn't he? He's like, once I get through him, I'm coming for you. So
yeah, I think
that might be the end goal here, which, well, who knows? Actually, I'm more interested in Omos now with MVP, definitely.
I agree.
It's the best thing could have happened to Omos was MVP because he was going nowhere. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Probably a backlash match again, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Should we move on to NXT?
Yeah.
To be honest, I thought that there was a lot more there. I knew SmackDown had a lot of talking points. Raw, I didn't think had so many, but yeah, fairly stacked. Although a little bit lackluster, I thought, Raw compared.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of NXT?
It was okay. I quite enjoyed the first opening match of Grimes versus Sikoa. I think that opened.
That was good.
Good US title match.
North American. But yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
same thing.
Yeah, I know. It's my bad. Yeah. The thing is, now I want to say, but it is the same. But yeah, it's not the name of the title, is it? Sorry. Anyway, we're getting caught up on the name of the belt
Semantics,
here.
yeah.
I'm getting belts wrong all over the place, so I do apologise.
They're titles as well, not belts. Sorry, carry on. Tell me about the match.
Anyway, one thing I really noticed here is I was thinking Sikoa's such a star, and Grimes obviously only just won it. I think he's a building star, Sikoa. How are you going to have him not look weak here? So fantastic match, really enjoyed it. And Grimes gets the win because there was a distraction caused by Trick Williams. Didn't mind this at all. Really enjoyed it. I thought it sort of saved face for both superstars and sort of carries on these feuds. Allows Grimes to go off and do his own thing and puts Sikoa against. We'll probably get a match versus Trick first.
I'm glad to see.
I think we'll get a tag match.
Glad to see Trick still in the North American picture because sometimes you can lose a belt and then you move on, like usually move up the card. But he was so like talking about it being the A belt and he was the A champ. I think it'd be weird if he just didn't
acknowledge
left the North American title alone. So I'm glad he's still involved.
Yeah, I think we get a tag match: Carmelo and Trick v Sikoa and Grimes.
Yeah, I think really good. But I wouldn't mind seeing Trick one-on-one with Sikoa first.
We haven't seen Trick enough in ring actually, have we?
No, it'd be nice to see that. I think as much as Carmelo is he's the star, isn't he?
Yeah.
Trick may be
100%.
an unsung hero, so let's give him a crack and see how he goes.
They're one of those. If they move Carmelo up, I wouldn't want them to come up without Trick. I want them together.
Really,
they should be
Trick adds a lot to that act.
Definitely.
I think.
One thing the main takeaway from this match for me was mainly about Solo Sikoa. Just seems really over with the crowd, like the crowd really into him. And also Cameron Grimes even mentioned, he said it in the match, I respect you, but your bloodline can kiss my grits or something. He said. But the fact they're acknowledging the fact he's part of the bloodline makes me think, it's only a matter of time.
I think it'd be a cool addition to
Can you
bloodline.
imagine, right? Yeah. They unify the tag belts. He gets called up, wins the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It'd be cool.
He is good, Square as well.
And I think he's that family just like shit stars, like.
Although
it just happens.
He'll be called Sikoa Uso or Solo Uso.
He should, To be fair, they might have to acknowledge he's an Uso, but they don't. I mean, they don't have to. But
just call him Sikoa.
The other thing they could do, because he's meant to be solo, and he's like his whole gimmick at the start when he come in was like, "My family abandoned me." They could have him go up against the bloodline eventually, but I just think he's got to be built a bit stronger before that. That would be years down the line if that ever happened. But it's an interesting thing that they acknowledged it big time here, I felt like.
Yep, I agree. If we go straight to the main event then, we had a tag team turmoil match. And we knew we were going to get new champs. We had the newest team on NXT, Pretty Deadly, win the belts straight away. What did you guys make of that?
I wouldn't have done it personally. I like Pretty Deadly.
Would you have gone Creeds?
I would have just put the titles on the Creed brothers. I know they're doing the chase, it feels like, with them constantly, but I think they should have just put their titles on them. They're great, and the crowd are really into them.
Well, and also this match was theirs. It's booked how you expect it to be, but Creeds run through everyone and then
don't win it.
Pretty Deadly take advantage.
Yeah, in terms of how you book a gauntlet match, it was well booked because that's what normally happens, and that's what should happen. The heel team with the advantage steals it at the end. That makes perfect sense. But would I have done it as Pretty Deadly? Probably not. I would. One thing that annoyed me was that Grizzled Young Veterans weren't even in the match, and if Grizzled Young Veterans were in Pretty Deadly's place, and it was them winning the titles, I would have said it was perfectly booked. Or even Legado del Fantasma.
Real shame, actually. I didn't think about that. That's a real waste.
They had Waller and Sanga,
why they had Waller and Sanga in there, I do not know. Who apparently, from what I've seen, are splitting basically already. Anyway,
really.
Well, Waller's put he put a picture of him with and Sanga, but there's a clown face over Sanga, and he's like, "This is the reason I lost," and stuff like that.
Waller,
he is funny.
I love Waller. He's so good.
I mean, he might calm down next week, and it might be nothing. But I think that's where they're going. In which case, no offense.
Grizzled Young Veterans should have been involved in that. Now you say it, that's awful.
It's weird.
When they announced I saw the graphic, I was like, "Why the hell are they not in this match?"
The thing I'm thinking is that the only reason they didn't give it to the Creeds, which I'd have quite liked it, is that, remember, we had MSK with the belts and they were supposed to have the belts. So they obviously have different plans for the Creed brothers at the moment. Maybe they're supposed to win it slightly down the line. So rather than rushing into it.
Their plan, I think, was Pretty Deadly. That was the end goal of this whole storyline. And Pretty Deadly are there now. And I guess that's still the end goal. That will be the match that we get. But it's going to be Creed's chasing and beating Pretty Deadly is going to be their big moment, isn't it? Rather than winning this gauntlet match.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just think winning the titles on your first show is a little bit much.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the crowd probably
like
that,
but
I don't
it's quite surprising.
I think for us as NXT UK watchers and from the UK, it's cool. But I think if you're trying to put it from an American viewer perspective, some of those guys didn't even know who they were. I mean, their names have changed as well, haven't they? But
then you had similar things happen with like Paige.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I was going to say, I might have said it before, but if you've not seen NXT UK and you've not seen Pretty Deadly, I know we got to sort them a bit here, but they are so good. I really think they are.
They're very good.
That's amazing, and I think they are perfect for NXT. I'm surprised they've not called that Mustache Mountain. I know they want.
There must be reasons because obviously you've got to move. It's a big move over to the States. I think there's a lot that goes into it. Walter for years said he had no interest in working in moving over, and he's only just recently. So maybe Tyler Bate doesn't want to do it.
Well, no, I will just say, by the way, they recently, the last 6 months, their NXT UK call-ups of people like Kaylee Ray, Doudrop, Gunter,
and we're getting another one. We can segue on to that in a minute.
A-Kid was another one. We've seen a few from UK move.
And there's another one going over next
Ridge
week,
Holland. Sorry. Go on, fresh air. Go on.
Nathan Fraser is coming over.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And I think he's a star in the making. So
yeah,
he'll be exciting. He's one step closer to that the dream match of his where he faces his mentor, Seth Rollins. If he goes through NXT and gets to the main roster.
I think we're a couple of years away from that still.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying he's one step closer to it. It's not anywhere near close yet, but unless Seth does a Natalya, there's a segue, and goes down to NXT. And faces her. She faces one of her sort of idols.
Let's positive it up then, shall we?
Well, can I get all top mark on you?
Go for it.
My top mark this week, and I never thought I'd ever say this, is Natalya. She is my top mark.
I never thought we'd see the day either.
I've not been excited to see Natalya for about 5-6 years, but my God, the reaction she got when she came out on NXT this week was insane. And it got me so excited. I mentioned in the past with Ziggler how big of a star he felt. Natalya felt like the best wrestler in the world all of a sudden when she came down to NXT UK. NXT, sorry. She just crowd massive, and I think fair play to Cora Jade. I think Cora Jade played her part really well here of being that like big-eyed, like meeting
Little
your
puppy.
hero. Yeah, just
Yeah.
she was so excited to meet her, and it
I
was
thought
amazing.
promo was good as well before.
Yeah,
talking
Cora Jade
about
did
her.
well, and I think it's again you need to move Cora Jade onto something. She's not in the title
I think
picture.
this is a match made in heaven. The fact that Cora Jade needs training. Let's not beat around the bush. She doesn't. She's a bit green. She needs that extra
she's
ring
definitely
time.
green. Yeah,
And Natty, as much as we don't really enjoy her on the main roster, as a wrestling trainer and to nurture someone lower in the roster, absolutely perfect.
well, you say
Perfect
wrestling
pairing.
trainer, a WWE, like she knows WWE inside and out. Natalya,
Yeah.
she'll show her, she'll teach her how to work the WWE way, and it's not just Cora Jade. We saw her backstage with Tatum Paxley, and they're facing off next
Yeah,
week.
that's a random match, isn't it?
Interesting, but there must be something in Tatum Paxley they see.
Yeah.
There must be.
I think that
Natalya.
I think the idea is here, so obviously to get Natalya a big win before she loses and puts Cora.
Yeah, but they could
it's a bit like what they did with it's a bit like what they did with Ziggler, but Ziggler was obviously bigger because it was title. But they put Ziggler over first, made him look important, and then eventually he
I
put
like
over
this
Braun Breaker.
promo, just building up to the saying how Cora Jade's the future, and then the future's
She looks so
bleak and
emotional,
slapping her.
Natalya looked genuinely emotional. I was like, maybe we're not.
Yeah, she was.
At first, I was like, okay, she's going to turn on her. But then once they were talking, I was like, maybe we're not. Maybe they're going to like tag team or something.
I thought we might get a Blackpool Fight Club style coming on, and we'd have Natty just following around.
But yeah, this was good. This was really good.
This was just such a feel good moment. I just loved everything about Natalya here, and it's mad because I just
feel positive about her.
I can't tell you how little I care about Natalya generally, but like in this moment, I
must feel nice for her
so
as
much.
well. To be fair though, Natty is popular on the main roster.
Yeah, well, do you remember when her and Tamina won the tag belts? The reaction they got there, so they got a big reaction there. But I think like okay, my top mark is Natalya, and that's this week's top mark. But in general, NXT and their use of these top stars, Ziggler was brilliant. AJ for Waller. They did it. Mysterio's come down and faced Escobar. They had the Miz do a Miz TV.
They should be doing this.
They're doing this Riddle with MSK. He come down for a bit, and they seem to be a theme with the 2.0. They're bringing, and why not use Natalya like this? And same with Ziggler. He was doing nothing on the main roster. Use them here, and they can elevate people and. Yeah. They can make them feel like a top star.
Yeah, I really like it.
I bet Ziggler felt great during his run in NXT. He was champion as well.
I know some people said that it's taking their screen time up, but what people need to understand is the amount of time they're going to be spending with them backstage, which is really important. And NXT is the sort of the training ground, isn't it?
Yeah,
before the main roster. That's what it should be. So bringing these women and men down who have been there, done it, have the experience, and like you say, aren't necessarily getting the limelight on main roster, so have the time and the will to put into these younger stars. I think it's great, and it's so interesting and entertaining. And like you say, we got excited for Ziggler, Natty, AJ. We love anyway, but I mean, yes, we like Natty and we really like Ziggler, but we're not like, oh my god. But them coming out on NXT feels like a
big deal.
Yeah. So, and just quickly to your point, you mentioned about people maybe complaining they're taking away screen time, but I'm telling you now, Cora Jade being on TV with Natalya is better than her having 5-6 matches with Tatum Paxley and Lash Legend and
rolling them up.
These guys, because this will mean more. This will do more for her career being on TV for Natalya than it will against anyone else on NXT.
I'm actually really excited to see that match, and I'll be watching it very closely for the wrestling skill, because I think she's going to come on leaps and bounds. I honestly think she's going to come on.
What I think will be very interesting is when Ziggler come down, Rude come down sort of to accompany him. He didn't end up really doing much. He did have a match. Yeah. Will Shayna Baszler, because obviously Natalya's teaming with Shayna Baszler on the main roster. I would love to see, like next week, Natalya beats Tatum Paxley. Cora Jade comes out and confronts her. and then Shayna Baszler comes out and breaks her arm or something. Do you know what I mean?
It almost just feels
You
almost
can't
feels
have
a bit
Cora
overkill,
Jade
though.
beat Shayna Baszler though.
It feels a bit overkill. I feel like Natalya's already a bit too strong for Cora Jade. If you brought down Shayna Baszler as well, Cora Jade has got no chance.
Because she hasn't got backup now because Raquel's moved up. So
that's
she's
true.
on her own, yeah.
great top mark though. Keen.
Yeah, it's not Bron Breakker, is it? Where Bron Breakker can kick their asses.
Yeah,
that was the thing with Rude and Ziggler. Bron Breakker's a massive guy.
I don't think Natalya needs help personally.
No, maybe not. But maybe I just want to see Shayna Baszler do something cool. Right? Like she's been wasted, and I feel like with Natalya now going down,
I think bringing her back down is a bit too soon.
Yeah, maybe.
She's not like Riddle was a bit different because he is so over, but Shayna Baszler has not really found her feet yet. I think if you move Shayna Baszler down, she's not coming back up again, which is not good. I really like her. That's not an insult. It's just unfortunately the way they booked her.
Yeah, she's been a bit of a mess, actually, hasn't she, the whole way. So we've mentioned 2 title matches. Should we go on to a third because there were 3 on this show?
Yeah, it was
we had
in terms of
the NXT Women's title.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the match. I really did enjoy the match, but I'm just getting so frustrated with Dakota Kai.
Same here.
The way that she's lost. It's like, what are you doing with one of the best, most underrated women stars on the whole roster? I wanted them to bring Dakota Kai up last year.
Yeah.
If you're not going to use her,
I saw a debate the other day.
Her.
Is she I don't think she's number 1, but she's definitely one of the best ever women in NXT to never win the NXT Women's Championship. Obviously,
only hope
Bianca
I
Belair
have
didn't do
is,
that.
I agree with you completely. But the only thing I can think is they've given her an interference loss, so we get a cage match or something like that where Dakota can beat Mandy, and I'll be fine with that. Then I'll be happy. I'll completely scrap my negativity. I just think it's a real injustice the fact that Dakota Kai has not won the NXT title and hasn't been.
I do. I think it's a bit of a joke. She's never been champion, and she's still there. And
she's never been on the main roster.
And I mean, what you said sounds lovely, Krusty, but I think realistically, judging by the end angle, we've got Wendy Chu come out with Super Soaker.
Yeah, that annoyed me as well.
So I think we're getting we'll probably get Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu again teaming for the tag titles against Toxic. That's what's going to happen, isn't it? And they'll probably lose because.
Yeah,
just a shame.
Just call Dakota Kai up.
Yeah,
if you're not going to give her the belt, there's no reason to have
call her up, put her on Raw, have a feud with someone like Alexa Bliss would be a cool feud for her to have, something like that.
It's a real shame because I thought she might win as well when I saw this match.
I thought she might win.
Well, last week I said that. I said the only way they can, if they're taking the titles off Raquel and Dakota, give Dakota Kai the women's title win. That would make that would make up for it, but it didn't happen. And I don't think she's getting called up either. I think she's just in limbo. I think she's just there. Like a few guys do that when they don't get called up, and then they've been there so long. I feel like there's a few other people.
She's like Io Shirai, but without the title belt, without the title runs.
Io's in a similar situation if she doesn't get called up now. I feel like Roderick Strong's in a similar situation for the men. And I'm worried LA Knight's going to be in a similar situation because you haven't seen him and he's not been called up yet either. I thought he was going to go up. So, yeah, there's a few like that. They've been around a while. I thought Cameron Grimes might end up like that, but obviously they put the title on him now. So
they're all people they're not going to want to release because they will get snapped up. 100%.
Yeah, but they may well release them because they know what to do with them.
Yeah. Looks like we're getting Duke Hudson, Dexter Lumis tag team.
Do you know what? I thought they were going to enter the gauntlet here and win. That was what I thought was going to happen.
Oh, don't say that.
Because it didn't happen, so I can say it now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
they're going to need to impress
me. That's what
here.
happened because it was just before the gauntlet, wasn't it? And she was like, "Oh, it'd be a good idea if you two teamed up." And I thought they're going to come out as the last team. They're going to get added, and they're going to win the titles. It's better than what they've been doing, but them teaming up. But I hate this.
I'd rather them team than snog in the ring every week.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I just don't care about these guys at all.
No,
unfortunately, that they've lost me. I was so into Index. They've lost me.
Yeah,
such a shame.
Let's talk about the NXT title feud then, because I'm not a fan of this either. I like Bron Breakker. I just don't really get Joe Gacy's character. And this, promo with the fire and then the burning. It just reminded me of an old school Bray Wyatt cult leader type thing, but not as good. That's what it felt like.
He is just a budget Bray Wyatt, isn't he? Joe Gacy,
that's what it felt like. His rambly promo style, like having Harlan's like having Big Rowan next to him is similar. Like it just feels like a low budget Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I it's one of those. I don't actually mind it as a feud for Breaker because it's one he's gonna win, and there's some storyline to it. It's not, I guess
the whole kidnapping of his dad made it, a bit.
It's got substance, and it's one that he's not going to lose to Joe Gacy for the belt. So we know that's the case. It's just,
I guess as a filler feud, it's okay. It's not going to be on a pay-per-view.
And I know you guys mentioned last week it could be Haaland. I think this week meant it's probably going to be Gacy.
I think Gacy's the one they said the star of that too, to be honest. So yeah,
he just gets on my nerves, but I guess that's supposed to be his character.
Yeah, I think as I said, I think he's meant to be annoying, isn't he?
Yeah, I just don't think it's very good, to be honest. I'm not a fan of it, really. It's just not working for me. I don't know. It's just not clicking.
No. Well, maybe they'll have a good match when it gets to it. Who knows? Anything else from NXT?
Just looking at there's a couple of other matches, but
every single segment.
There's a couple more, but they're not really worth talking about. I mean, the Von Wagner one just destroyed Jacket Time.
Definitely not.
The thing with a woman, I still don't get what's going on with that. I can't even remember the woman's name. It was a cool spot at the end though when he chucked Giro into the crowd. I like that bit.
That was cool, but
that was a proper launch.
That was a good spot. I'll say that. And there was Draco Anthony versus Iron Quinn, which was pointless, but yeah. So there were a couple of other things, but it wasn't a strong show. This it's all about that gauntlet match, but really wasn't it?
Well, we did have 3 title matches.
Yeah, I guess it was about all 3 of those matches, but I thought the North American title match was great. The tag team match was okay, and the women's match I was just annoyed about.
I wasn't happy with that. But then we had the Natalya come out and things like that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there was some alright stuff on it. Just wasn't great.
So let's go on to AE to the dub. And should we start with Rampage? Should I get real skiddy straight away?
Or I can go to the moon. I don't know. To the top mark.
We've got a skid on the top here.
We've got a skid on the top.
Top and a skid.
Should we do rock, paper, scissors? Let's do rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Where's your hand?
Sorry, it's there.
You can't do that.
It was scissors.
That was a draw. Okay, here we go.
Where am I? God's sake.
Oh, you win. Okay,
Fisher
you
wins.
go first then.
So I'll go top. We're never doing that again, okay?
This does not work, does
never.
If people are listening to the
for
podcast,
those listening, Fisher won with paper over rock.
Yeah, we drew the first time,
his hand disappeared
scissors.
for half of that. So
it wasn't great. It didn't work. So let's get to top mark. My favourite thing of the whole week was the main event of Rampage. I thought this was absolutely amazing. And it was Wheeler Yuta versus Jon Moxley. And I just think I did not care about Wheeler Yuta a month ago when he was just in Best Friends as a side guy. Thought, he's the 4th coolest guy in that group. Who cares? They've made me really like him from this. And I just think the match itself was amazing. He kicks out 2 paradigm shifts. Like they made him look badass. He was bleeding everywhere. And okay, they overdo the blood. But in this case, this was all about if you bleed with us and you fight us. And he's earned the respect of, I love the way they did it. He earned the respect of Regal on commentary a while back. Then he earned the respect of Bryan by fighting Bryan and taking him close. And he earned the respect of Mox here. He even did Bryan's move here where he stomps on his head. Yeah. He just looks so bloody awesome. I was like, wow, Wheeler Yuta is just... And everyone was raving about him afterwards. And rightly so. I think his stock went from 0 to like really high in the last few weeks. And it was brilliant. And I loved the bit afterwards. And he's bleeding and he writes BCC on his chest in blood. Like, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah. This was Wheeler Yuta's like moment to come out onto the big stage.
Yeah.
This is him coming from not nobody, maybe it's probably a bit harsh, but like a lower card wrestler to
I didn't know who he was until
someone everyone is going to talk about Wheeler Yuta now. He's one of my favorite things on AEW right now. just from the past week of wrestling.
So good. I love
Yeah.
it when they do this. And this is all, it's weird because this Blackpool Fight Club is almost real. It's like they are, that their character is to bring young stars in and elevate them, and they are actually doing that, which is really good. And I completely agree with what Fisher said about not really caring about Wheeler Yuta. I thought this is a bit of a pointless signing. He's not done a lot, just follows best friends around. But yeah,
he also
what
won a
wrestler.
title as well, by the way, on top of that, a Ring of Honor title.
Yeah.
So that
How
also
many
adds
Ring of Honor
to him a bit.
titles are there, by the way? They seem to have
They've got
Everyone's
quite a
got
few.
one
got
now.
about 5.
They have got quite a few, but yeah, just giving him that belt as well makes him feel a bit more important as well.
Yeah.
So I like that.
But
Oh
really
yeah, I
good
thought this match was
really enjoyed
top class. Like I did not expect him to kick out 2 paradigm shifts.
Yeah, that was
mental.
mad.
And he
The
didn't
second
tap out
one
on it,
blew
he
me away,
passed out,
actually.
didn't he? He just kind of passed out. He was never giving in. I kept writing on my notes, oh my god, he's still not giving up. Like I must have wrote it like 3 times because he was just, and Moxley's face at one point, he was just like, what the fuck have I got to do?
Yeah.
And like John Moxley beats, sometimes he I remember, do you remember when he was having matches on Dynamite and he's just beating people in 1 minute with a paradigm shift?
Yeah.
This guy, he has to like basically kill to get him to
The
give up.
crowd were
And that's
going
why,
mad.
yeah. I just thought this was perfect. This was perfectly done.
And the fact that he all passed
And
out
I love
as
this
well.
group. I love this group so much.
Yep.
So yeah, great. And now you can
Good. Now
go from the positivity to the negativity.
Have some skid marks. I've lost my skid mark. Sorry. Hang on. Right. I was quite surprised. We were discussing before the podcast. Has anybody skid marked Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti? And I don't think we have. I'm not going to give them too hard a time, but I'm really not enjoying this. They are 2 really talented wrestlers. I love seeing Sammy in the ring. Really, really enjoy it. And I just think it's wasted by, I don't know whether he's slightly injured or something like that, but I'm not enjoying these promos. The heels are getting cheered over
Dan Lambert
the
is
faces.
getting cheered.
Dan Lambert's like the
Lambert,
biggest idiot on TV, and he's getting cheered over.
he's getting
Sammy
cheered
Guevara.
because he's insulting them, and you don't want that. You really don't want that, especially as Sammy was one of the most popular wrestlers in AEW, and separate, these guys are awesome. I really like Conti in the ring. I know I sort of slated her a while back in a match against Britt Baker, but generally, the more stuff she's done recently, I've really enjoyed it. I just think together they're just too cringy. It's over sexualized as well, which I'm not that keen on. I don't think it's needed. And it's not funny either. Just the funny part is Dan Lambert ripping them to shreds, which just, and I think they said a line. One of them said something about his kids, and Sammy was like, "I don't care about your kids." I was like, "That's a bit of a heel thing to say. It's a bit odd." It's all right coming from someone like.
I think he was
MJF
actually
or
harsh. I
Dan
think he's like,
Lambert.
"I don't give a shit about your kids" or something. I was like, "All right,
Yeah,
Sammy,
I was
calm
like,
down."
I mean, if he was turning heel, fair enough, but it's almost like he's done it off the cuff because he's getting frustrated with the crowd's reaction almost. But yeah, I'm just not enjoying it one bit.
This feels like a bit like like towards the end of Cody's run in AEW.
Yeah, Cody and Brandy being
like,
annoying.
They were annoying and they wouldn't turn heel. It feels like that, but more annoying, more obnoxious.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what's the most annoying thing about all this is there was no reason to put them on screen together. No. We know they're a couple off screen. Fine, do what you want off screen. I don't care, but there's no reason for them. Again, we thought maybe we were going to get Paige Van Zandt, but
I was going to say that's
involved.
the reason they did it. But I don't know where she even is now.
There is no reason for them to be on screen together and coming out like put Ty Conti, keep her in the Dark Order with Anna Jay and have her doing her thing.
She should be in this tournament, the Owen Hart tournament. I don't know if she will be, but she should be.
It's just unnecessary, and what a way to make Sammy like his stock has just dropped. And
well, it's interesting because he's got a match, doesn't he, at Battle of the Belts, which is an extra show on Saturday.
Yeah,
against Scorpio Sky. I can't see Sammy winning it, but it'll be interesting to see. First of all, how it's received by the crowd, and how the match is booked, and what happens is taken. I think
he'll get a not a good reaction.
No, I think he's. They even mentioned it actually on Dynamite. They did a little promo, Lambert and Sky, and said, "Oh, this might be the one." I think they might be in Sammy's hometown or something. And they said this might be the only town in America you don't get booed out of the building or something like that, he said. Which is true. And I'm siding with the heels here. You know.
And we shouldn't. That's Dan Lambert's role is not to get us to agree with him. But...
No, not at all. I don't often.
Yeah. Good skid, Mark.
Thank you. Well, something I really did like, if you don't mind me going on to Dynamite.
Yeah, no. I was just checking. There was nothing else from there, but yeah. Go for it.
It's not my top mark, but something I really like. The match CM Punk versus Penta. Is it
Obscuro?
That's it. I love Penta like this. I think it is amazing. I love I can't remember his name.
Alex Abrahantes.
Yeah.
I love these guys together. I just think it's so cool and like edgy. Crowd are seriously into it as well. I don't know if it's because I'm a geek that I like this, because it is with him being a warlock and things like that. I think it's pretty nerdy, but I just think it's brilliant. And the fact that he can back it up with cool wrestling as well. He's not just a character. But I think Penta's amazing. We've discussed it before. As much as we love him in a tag team with Rey Fenix, on his own, he is brilliant. I thought this was a brilliant match. Some really cool reversals. The GTH was reversed, and so was the Fear Factor. I just really liked this match. It was pretty damn good. And I just and Punk's just really awesome at the moment. I do enjoy it. So yeah, just wanted.
Yeah, I think there was one botch in this where Punk slipped off the apron. I don't think that was meant to happen. But other than that, it was a pretty damn good match. And like I say, I really into Penta. I love him. I love Penta and Phoenix together, but I don't mind Penta having bits on his own.
Yeah. I also think, same with Phoenix. I wouldn't mind Phoenix having a singles run. They're both so good. They can both go singles as well.
I mean, the crowd was so into this. I think it was about a minute and a half of CM Punk versus Sierra Mido chants. I think Punk was like ready to start the match, and Penta was just enjoying it. He was like, "No, you're not taking this away from me. I'm just going to keep doing it."
Talking of Sierra Mido, that spot where you mentioned the counter to the GTS, that was what he did. He did a GTS and then he did the Sarah Miedo thing in his face, like straight after.
That bit, I pop for that every time.
Yeah.
It's so insulting, isn't it? Because he's like, he proper pushes
her away in the face.
I love it. Penta's amazing.
It was great.
I want to see him on the TV more. You can tell he's really into everything he does, which I love.
They are a little bit underutilized actually, because they're not on TV that often, but when they are on TV, they're so good.
Well, again, though, we've had that issue we've mentioned before where Phoenix got injured, and then sometimes they probably have tag plans with them and they kind of got changed, so they didn't do Penta for a while.
Comes and seems to be here and
there. I don't know what's Pac's issue.
He's hardly ever there. Like I don't know.
Yeah, not very often, is he?
That's a shame, because at one point Pac was one of the main stars in AEW. I think he's one of the ones who has suffered slightly with these big stars coming in.
Possibly, yeah.
Which is a shame, because I think his wrestling is that good and his promo works good that he should be up there. I mean, you could put Pac up against any of the top guys. You could put him in a feud with Adam Page, Adam Cole. You could have Kenny Omega come back and let him have matches with him. It'd be absolutely phenomenal.
Didn't we get an Omega Pac Cassidy triple threat for the title?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. That was random, but yeah.
It was a great match, if I remember.
It was pretty good, yeah. It was pretty good. They don't do many triple threats either, but yeah, it was good. Shall we move on to the next thing on the show?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was Red Dragon versus Jurassic Express, a tag team title match. I keep calling them Jurassic Express. They definitely dropped that name.
I keep saying it as well.
Yeah, I just keep calling them it.
I just can't be bothered to write Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy.
No, I know.
they called their move, don't they now? Their move is called
Jurassic Express. It's called Jurassic Express. Yeah, that's an awesome move, by the way. I love that move. That is incredible.
This was just a really decent tag. There wasn't loads to say about it.
It does. It's one of those where I think we all thought Red Dragon may be the next tag champs.
I wouldn't surprise me if they won here.
Well, we saw at the end of the match, we saw FTR come out, because FTR beat Young Bucks last week, and they seem to be on that trajectory, don't they? FTR.
Yeah. So they come
winning
out
all the
here.
tag belts. I mean, they've got
Just put all the belts on them.
They've currently got AAA and Ring of Honor.
Unify all these belts as well and put them on them. And then
then
unify the WWE belts versus the AEW belts.
Yeah.
Just see what happens.
Give them everything. I just want to say how I've always loved FTR, but right now they are on some run.
They're on an absolute tear.
They're on a rocket.
They've turned face as well. They are absolutely killing it. Every match they have is like
the crowd.
I think I've said
this
to you before, but I'm going to say it even more. They've won me over. You always said I would eventually like them, and I struggled with that. WWE
it's because I like them so much.
Early AEW, I wasn't too bothered, but now I think it's the music that's really helped me.
The music
I absolutely
does help,
love the music. It almost makes no sense to me that they have this music, but I just love it. They're just so cool. I like the little moustaches they have. They're top guys. I must say
they are. They definitely are top
guys out.
I'm loving it. I love all the matches they have. I like the fact they come out here and stuff like that. You did have Red Dragon attack Jurassic Express with chairs, which is interesting. I don't know if that means we're going to get a rematch.
Maybe they'll go again.
Yeah. I think we're going to get something else there. Yeah,
a triple threat would actually be banging with those three teams.
Yeah, the tag division we always say AEW tag division is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
This is about strong. It keeps getting stronger, I feel, as well, because they add teams into it all the time.
Imagine if you threw Mox and Danielson as a tag team into this as well. It just gets ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's almost too good.
That'd be naughty.
And then you get
that would be naughty,
wouldn't
it?
Phoenix back together.
Yeah.
And there's a tag team on the
House
show.
Of Black.
Good segue. That I thought looked really good. They're two single starts, really, but they were in a tag team match here. And I thought they looked awesome as a team. I think that might be your top mark, Krusty, is it?
I was going to say, I think we're heading towards my top mark.
Swerve and Keith Lee I'm on about here, by the way.
Oh, I was going to say, which pairing? I suppose in a way, Hobbs and Starks are a tag team.
They've been together for a long time. They're not. But yeah, Swerve and Keith, I thought were awesome.
This
double
was my
team
top
moves.
Mark.
Yeah,
just because, there were some real big spots here, and I think all four wrestlers are great. And we've spoke about it a few times tonight. When the crowd are into somebody, it really gets you excited. And what I really noticed it here, because it was his hometown, was
Starks,
Ricky Starks. Just wow, the pop and some of the moves he was pulling out. You forget how good he is because he hasn't wrestled for a while.
Yeah, no, he commentates more than he wrestles.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think you forget. I think it's easy to kind of sleep on Ricky Starks sometimes. He is so
I forget
good.
about him. I forget about how good he is, to be honest.
What about when he tried to Rochambeau Keith Lee?
Yeah.
I was like, he's not going to pull this off, surely.
No chance. There was one awesome spot that he hit. It was Swerve went to do his like rolling finisher, which is awesome. But then Starks just caught him with a spear, sort of midair, and it just looked absolutely banging. But some of the spots I really enjoyed with this match, everybody complimented it. There was no one that you thought, oh, they're the weak link. They're not really doing a lot. A spot which I don't think I've ever seen before was Swerve Scott doing a backflip off of Keith Lee's chest.
Yeah, that's one of those spots I'm going to remember for a long time.
He didn't even move. He's that big. You'd have thought he'd have like stumbled, but he just didn't move. He is an absolute unit. And then to sort of show real power, the spine buster that Hobbs does. You'd think if someone said, "Oh, my finish is a spine buster," you'd be like, but Hobbs makes it look big, and the fact that he did it to Keith Lee, that ring rattled, and it cool end to the match. I really loved it. You had Taz obviously grab the leg of Keith Lee to distract him. I don't mind it because AEW don't do it too often.
My only slight criticism of it was they did two like that in this show.
Oh, okay.
Jericho. They did Jericho with a bat, and then they did Taz.
Yeah,
but
I don't mind this.
They do it so rarely. I think you can allow them to do two.
You can. I think they were pretty much back-to-back matches on the show. I was like, oh, they've done it twice. That's weird.
Yeah. Just quickly on these four guys, I think they're all like Chris said. There's no weak link here. They're all so good, and I think any combination of match here, a tag match, any singles against each other, I give it to me all the time. I'll just sit and watch it. I'll love every minute they show. So yeah,
definitely.
Give me more of these guys. Whether we get I mean, we've already had Lee and Hobbs. Have we had Starks and?
I feel like we're going to get it
Swerve
again.
yet?
That's
Yeah.
what it feels like.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those feuds they do every combination, probably.
Yep, and that's good. Give me Swerve v Hobbs. Give me Lee v.
Something a bit off of the radar as well. It's just thinking back to when Hobbs first debuted, and I wasn't that excited about it at all. And the guy was Brian Cage, and I mean, he's just disappeared completely, hasn't he?
I mean, weirdly, he signed a new contract today. They gave him a new contract. I
was going to ask if he was still employed, but
they
right,
gave him
maybe
they
he's gonna
extended
come
his
back then.
contract. I have no
Possibly
idea
they'll
why.
give him a Ring of Honor run, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you could put the Ring of Honor. Yeah,
what I'm sort of getting at is I'm really pleased that Hobbs has been allowed to shine, because I was never interested at all. But actually, he's probably one of my favourite big guys, probably behind sort of Wardlow. I really enjoy it in AEW. That is.
That does smell like a segue. That does. Definitely smells like a segue.
We're cooking on gas here.
I mean, I'm talking top marks this week, and this one, I know it's maybe a repeat of the last couple of weeks as well, but there was a little twist here because Wardlow, we saw backstage and all the audience members, all the not audience members, all of the security guards were taken out.
God, if you took out audience members, that might be a bit far.
Stick some
Probably
more
on
out,
MJF's side after all.
And in the end, he was in a security with a face mask behind MJF.
I loved that.
Yeah, brilliant.
I thought this spot was brilliant. When I first saw this come on, I just saw, because they just showed security being laid out at the start. I was like, okay, we're getting the same segment again, like 3 weeks in a row. I was like, that's fine, but like, let's do something else with it. And then they did. So
yeah, what I loved about this, by the way, and this is why it did make my top mark this week, was because it was very clever how MJF got all security to come down to block off Wardlow. But by doing that, it meant he got counted out because he couldn't get back to the ring, and he tried to bribe Bryce.
This is where, like, a count out finish, and they don't do it very often, is like, that's a proper good finish. For this match.
It's amazing.
Makes sense.
I like the fact that Captain Sean Dean is going to probably have the best win-loss record soon in AEW.
He's beat MJF and Sean Spears.
He's beat MJF twice now. Yeah. One was like ages ago, like a year ago or something. But he got a DQ against him, and now he's got a count out.
Yeah,
and one thing I loved that was outside of the ring was JR. He's just amazing on commentary. He was
this line.
Talking about MJF, he was like, he's a pup. He's a talented but arrogant pup.
I loved a bit, by the way. I don't know if it was in this match, but just talk about JR. There's a hilarious bit. But it was when Jericho was out and they were singing Judas. It cuts to this guy in the crowd who looks like JR.
Oh, yeah.
And JR was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
honestly, it was so random. It was like, it was brilliant. It was a proper great line from JR.
We love a commentator nowadays, don't we?
Really?
Yeah. Well, they can make him break the show, you know?
Yeah, they really can.
Yeah, they can.
But yeah, this was a great little segment.
The power bomb that, Jesus.
On the security guard, on the apron.
I'm glad he landed on the apron, because the way he threw him, if he'd have hit the corner.
Wardlow was not protecting him there, by the way. Wardlow just threw him and turned around. Wardlow's already on to the next guy. He was mad.
He made it look like a rag doll. It
reminded me of the way Brock treats security guards.
Yeah.
He beat up so many here. Like, so many of them.
Yeah.
It was mad.
He's beat up a lot in the last couple of weeks.
And I loved his little bit at the end where they cut back to him later on. And he's like screaming into the camera.
Yeah. And just the ending point of all this, you know what's happening next week, don't you, Krusty?
Oh, yeah.
He's facing the Butcher.
Oh, yeah. I like the fact that the Butcher came into the screen and was just like...
your favourite, I know.
I knew that would pop
the Butcher is on absolute fire at the moment.
Wardlow's going to destroy him next week.
He's going to get power bombs too next year. But you never know. Sometimes with these matches, they don't allow them to just destroy the person, because Butcher's been on a bit of a roll lately.
Yeah,
so
he has surprised me.
I hope he comes in ring with his walk. That's all.
I don't think they'll make it easy for him, like at all.
No. I mean, it'd be a bit silly if MJF put him an opponent that's just going to get destroyed in a couple.
It's just nice to see Wardlow back in a match.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I am. I mean, now we've been so positive, maybe I'll be slightly negative, because we have to mention this, because I wouldn't have bothered otherwise, but it was Maria Shafir's debut, which I was quite excited for, because I really enjoyed her in AEW when she was like
NXT,
sorry, when she was Shayna Baszler's sort of. But did they call themselves the Horsewomen as well?
Yeah, they did.
They're the
Yeah.
horsewomen of MMA.
So
The
I was
problem.
excited to see her because I actually quite liked her when I did see her in WWE. But this was just boring. It just consisted of Shafir holding her in like a bear hug and then taunting Jade Cargill. I understand they need to do a little bit of this, but the match just wasn't interested in the slightest for me. And it's not building the match to Jade Cargill. It just kind of bored me and made me dread her next match. I hope she proves me wrong, but this match just did not do it for me. They spent more time putting the camera in the crowd, looking at did they call themselves the baddies?
Yeah.
Yeah. This just didn't do it for me. There's not much else for me to say on it. Just I didn't really enjoy it.
Yeah, I do agree. I agree with you. And like you're talking, we mentioned it a lot tonight. The crowd and how they affect stuff as well. The crowd were noticeably they were so loud in an AEW show, and they were dead for this match. You could hear little noises like between the wrestlers and the ref, and like. And that never happened at AEW. And they never got up, and they never recovered. Like they started quiet, and the match wasn't good enough for them to get into it either. So it really didn't help. But yeah, it wasn't there was nothing great about it. And like you said, it was mainly about Jade, and Jade was watching from the screen backstage, and the baddies, which included Kira Hogan and Red Velvet, weirdly.
I did quite enjoy Jade kind of texting backstage rather than watching the screen, whereas Mark Sterling was like making notes and stuff. I quite like Jade Cargill doesn't care.
Spot, but there was nothing to this at all to see.
By the way, I was going to say Mark Sterling was all over this show. By the way, absolutely all over it. He was with Jade. He was with MJF when he made the match with Butcher, and
your
he made Tony
favourite,
Nese the match.
Your favourite.
Yeah.
Are you excited for this first opponent on Dynamite for Hook? Tony Nese.
Oh God. Yeah. No. I mean, yes, I'm looking forward to seeing Hook.
I think it's going to be a good match, and I think it's definitely someone he can beat. And
at least Tony Nese feels like an opponent that might cause him trouble. So far, he's just squashed people any Hook. Really, he hasn't really had a QT Marshall's maybe his toughest opponent. So at least Tony Nese is a
we haven't had a Hook match in a few weeks, have we?
No, he's been messing about with Danhausen too much.
Oh, I do.
He's just been doing cursed by Danhausen.
Danhausen is kind of funny.
I love Danhausen. I out of the crew, I would take Danhausen any day over Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously,
I want to see him in ring before
makes it to the ring better. Yeah,
Cassidy's quite good in ring.
Cassidy's
I just
good
like
in
him
ring.
cursing people. That's
and
his voice as well. He's like, "Hello."
His voice is
Danhausen here.
It's not what you'd expect, is it?
That's a pretty good impression, actually.
Thank you. Maybe I'll recharge wrestling Danhausen impressionist.
I wanted to segue from sort of the Marina Shafir thing and come and piggybacking off that. I criticised the women's division booking quite a lot in AEW, and here, like, obviously, you only got one match on the show again, quite short, and it made me laugh actually because you've got Tony Storm on the show doing a little thing with Jimmy here, which was fine. It was a good little face-to-face promo, but I couldn't help but laugh. Is Tony Storm's last promo in WWE was all about getting pied in the face, and then with the women. And here, you got a cake with Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa. I was like, welcome to the same booking, Tony Storm. You're not going to, honestly, you're going to get some of the same shit here with the women's booking.
Yeah.
AEW
need to sort their shit out with their
especially this feud.
You need to have more than one match on Dynamite. You need to give them better storylines.
I know that, obviously, I think the Owen Hart tournament helps. I think that's a step in the right direction. Because that'll just be a serious tournament, loads of matches. Should be good.
Yeah, and I think we've had qualifiers for which I quite like. You have to qualify to get into it. So I think we've got Britt Baker next week.
She's back against former NXT lady.
Vanessa Bourne, or whatever her name is.
Daniel Camella is her actual name. Yeah, she haven't seen her in a long time.
Cressy changed his name to Cross Townsend.
I couldn't miss the opportunity. Sorry,
that's great. That's great. No one will be able to see it, but it's great.
I love it. No, so you can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, watch it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, our name's
because you also get to see a special rock paper scissors match.
Yeah, rock paper scissors with no arms.
Fisher hasn't got a hand, but
yeah, if you're still watching after 2 hours or whatever we've been on for, you'll get to see me say crust change.
Yeah, you deserve a little treat. So
yeah, there's a little Easter egg for you. It's Easter weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Something to do on your bank holiday if you're.
But
in
yes,
the UK.
that women's bit made me laugh a little bit because I was thinking, oh, Tony Storm. She wasn't involved in it, but still, like, imagine if she was.
Yeah.
Be hilarious. But yeah.
So from my kind of view here, there's two things left to talk about on Dynamite. And do we want to end with a skid mark, or do we want to get the skid mark in now?
Let's get a skid mark in now.
Yeah, let's get the skid mark in now. Firstly, I'll talk about the match itself, which I did enjoy between. It's a Samoa Joe match. I'm going to enjoy a Samoa Joe match. Minoru Suzuki pops me as well. Just the way his facial expressions, the way he chops people. They basically just
this was Chop City, wasn't it?
For 15 minutes. And it was
Joe's
did
chest
get a little bit
was blue before he'd even finished.
The crowd were into the match. It was great. And yeah, it was fine. And Joe became a champion. That's cool. He won a title.
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor TV champion as opposed to the non-TV championship.
Or the pure champion, whatever that means.
I think the pure is almost like their sort of
Heritage Cup,
like kind of division-ish kind of thing, like a lower tier. And then that's their mid card, and then their world title, which Jonathan Gresham has, is obviously their world title. So the match itself was really good. Well, I wouldn't say really good. It was good. But the skid mark comes from the ending of Dynamite, and I've seen a lot of criticism of this, and I was almost laughing at how bad it was, because the show itself, Dynamite, is always a good show. The show was good. It had really good matches on it, some really high spots, and then Joe wins the title. I thought you could just end the show there. Like, that's a big enough moment. Joe winning the title, end the show. No, Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal come out, and that's fine. Like, they've been feuding with him. I loved the middle finger bit, by the way. The no one is given present.
That was funny.
Middle finger. That popped me. But then the lights go out, and they do this too often. We've mentioned it before in this podcast, where they'll turn the lights out, and then something really insignificant happens. Turn the lights out, and you can hear the crowd's anticipating. Oh my God, we're getting a big debut at the end of the show. It's the show closing moment. I was thinking Cesaro or something like that. That's what I was thinking. And this guy comes on, and I'm like, and the crowd are chanting, "Who are you at him?" And we don't know you. And it's just not a good way to end a show, to do the lights out.
It's a shame for the debutant as well.
Yeah.
They're probably really excited, and then they get that.
Yeah. Don't debut him with a blackout and lights out, and don't debut him at the end of a show. It's a show closing angle.
I mean, he's a big lad,
you're not,
but
he isn't a known name, is he? No. I still don't know his name.
Satnam Singh. Apparently he's a basketball player, so he's obviously known to a sports audience, but he's not known to the wrestling. They did not know who he was, and that's my problem with it. You don't do a lights out big reveal for someone. That's why I'm skidding it.
Randomly, we're going to get the House of Black here, and I thought you might have Brody King or
see, that would have even been better, even though it would have been like
being the next opponent, because that could have been all right. I mean, you would.
Well, Malachi Black versus Samoa Joe.
It'd be awesome, but I don't think you'd get that in Ring of Honor. But Buddy Matthews or Brody King, maybe. And it gives them a sort of limelight title shot, doesn't it? But
yeah, I mean,
don't use the lights out for people that's not the House of Black, in my opinion.
Don't
unless it's a big debut. If it's someone huge at the after the reveal,
wouldn't use it.
Just stop doing lights out. Stop it.
Just give them an entry.
Don't do lights out for 6 months, and you can start doing it again. Just give yourself like.
If they hadn't have done the lights out and they just dropped some music, it would have been fine, I think.
Yeah, I still would have been a bit of a flat ending. But
just you have Jay Lethal be like, and this is, and give him a big introduction and tell the crowd who he is, rather than no one. Like, imagine being there. Imagine if we were there and all of a sudden this guy comes out. We have no idea who he is, and we're like, what? Like, how are we meant to feel about this guy? We don't know him. Like, yeah,
very strange booking. Good skid mark.
Poor way to end.
Good skid.
It was just odd. It was odd way to end, especially ending the show. If you did it in the middle of the show, I wouldn't have so much of a problem with it. But the crowd had a great night. They'd enjoyed everything, apart from maybe that Marina Shafir match, which they were quiet for. But other than that, they enjoyed everything. They went nuts for this main event, and then they kind of left on a bit flat, I feel.
Yeah, they are big on Suzuki, aren't they?
Oh, they love him, yeah. And apparently he's going to be wrestling in AEW a lot more now.
He isn't signed, is he?
I think he might be like, I don't know if he's officially signed, but I think he's going to be.
Is he all elite?
I think he might be wrestling in AEW a lot more now.
Good.
So he's a cool person to have. And he can wrestle in Ring of Honor as well. obviously.
Yeah, good.
What was the other thing you were going to talk about? You said there was 2 more, Keeney.
Oh yeah, we didn't really mention the Jericho match.
Yeah.
The Jericho Appreciation Society.
This was fine.
I thought it was a good match. It's just a shame when it's actually not getting as much limelight as the rest of the show. It's a bit strange, really, isn't it?
I thought it was very odd that I know it kind of plays into the story, but Eddie Kingston took the pin, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I know it was obviously Jericho whacking him with a bat, so it made sense, but
yeah, it's just one of those. They don't often do this in AEW where they obviously build. I thought they were building to this 6-man tag, but they kind of did this in
quite
like
quickly, yeah.
the middle of unless there's more people to be added to Kingston's team, and we get that blood and guts 5-on-5.
I was expecting some people to come out here because after the match, they got absolutely demolished. Kingston and the other 2, and the 5 of them stood there. And I was like, someone's got to come and help them. That's what it's building to, surely, because at the moment it's not a fair fight.
Do you have any idea who?
No, I genuinely have no idea.
So the only people, and this is just from Impact, but he was he had Hernandez and the other guy, I can't remember his name. There was 2 guys in LAX that he obviously did also used to manage Ortiz and Santana. But there's that guy Hernandez, and again, Progressive probably won't know these people, but they've got Impact guys, and I don't know their situation. I think they were still in Impact last time I saw, but they're the only people I know that are associated to Eddie Kingston, and there's 2 of them, and I think they also used to be in the team with Santana and Ortiz before as well.
The perfect people. If Phoenix wasn't injured, Penta and Phoenix would be perfect, I think.
Yeah,
because then
maybe Penta and Pac. If
you could do
Pac's
that.
doing, yeah,
you could do that. I was trying to think who else there is on the AEW roster itself. I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out. I'm sure it's going to happen.
We'll get a lights out next week and 2 people appear.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a big announcement next week as well. So.
Oh yeah, another one. Another big announcement.
I think that'll be a sign-in or something. I think
Cesaro.
It could be Cesaro. I noticed Cesaro took WWE bio out of his Twitter, like either today or yesterday. So he's not going back to WWE by the sounds of it. He's also trademarked some name. I think it's Claudio. His name's Claudio Castagnoli, but it's Claudio like SRO or something. So it's like Cesaro, but with Claudio in front of it. Similar. But apparently he's using it for coffee and something else as well. So I don't know what that's all about. Coffee branding. I
hope his coffee company does well.
I know he wants to get back onto the Twitch stuff as well, because he used to be big on that, didn't he? With the up, down stuff with Adam Cole and Tyler Breeze and Xavier Woods. So, but I could see it being him. He'd fit in AEW like massively.
Yeah, it'd be quite cool. Just another person to try and fit in, though.
Yeah, that is the problem. I just think if it's a signing, he's the obvious person at the moment. I mean, Johnny Gargano's a free agent, but from what he's saying, he's saying the other day, apparently, like he doesn't see where he fits in either AEW WWE at the moment. So, I
literally know nothing, but I don't think he's necessarily that fussed about coming back to wrestling currently, because I know he's obviously just had a kid, and I think I'll be surprised if we see him.
He has hinted at a match in GCW, which would be very like left field. So it's not as major a promotion against Blake Christian, who was what was his name in
Cora Jade Smith.
Yeah, a guy who was in NXT. What was his name in NXT? I can't remember.
Question. He's only in NXT for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Cora Jade's boyfriend, him. He apparently said, I've seen some Twitter back and forth between them 2. So I don't know what that's all about, but yeah. But yeah, I can see Johnny Gargano not coming back for a bit. Yeah. Otherwise, free agent wise, I mean, it could be, to be fair, they could be bringing in, they've got stuff in New Japan, they've got stuff from Ring of Honor. It could be anyone from those promotions as well. Like, it doesn't have to be a free agent, does it? This is the thing.
Could be. He's decided to do a UK show to try.
Imagine if that was the thing.
Rain on the parade.
September the 4th.
His name was Trey Baxter.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I remember him.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh, that's bothering me. Sorry. I've listened to nothing since you mentioned. Just trying to think of his name.
But yeah, I can see that being the big announcement. I think it's just going to be a sign-in or something. I don't think it'll be anything massive this time.
Let's wait and see. Has anyone else got anything else to say before I plug ourselves in?
No,
for
I
some
think we've rambled
recharge?
on
Nope.
long enough.
So
So
yeah,
fun.
this was a long one. I hope you've enjoyed it if you're still here. We have been Recharge Wrestling. Hope you've enjoyed that. We'll be back again next week. Nothing special going on at the moment. Please follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle. Send us any questions. Just generally message us. Join in with some posts. If there's anything you'd like to see, please let us know. Also check out our YouTube, which is just Recharge Wrestling. There's lots of content on there, including Fisher and Keeney's new universe mode from WWE 2K22, as well as all our past podcasts, including some WrestleMania reviews, which are still quite fresh. So yeah, get involved and see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.
See you guys.